Hello, welcome. We're back. This is HLTV Confirmed. I'm a little bit frazzled today. I'm in a bit of a shit mood. I don't know why. I woke up on the right side of the bed. I've worked out. I've had enough to eat. I've hydrated. Things should be good. So let's see if Crystal, our guest this evening, can help turn my bloody shit attitude around. I've already sworn twice. So guess what? YouTube and their algorithm are not going to be happy with that. But welcome to the show. I don't even know what number it is. We'll find out from Prof and Striker in a second. Then, and before we
I think
do
it's
the
4.
there we go.
Yep.
4. It is 4. 4. This is 4. You guys can read that. You can see that. You can all hear it at home. 4. Now, tonight on the show, we're going to be talking all things ESL One Cologne, what's happened so far in the first week. You're going to be seeing plenty of my bloody knee. We're talking about all these roster changes that have been happening. Woxic's out. Alex, what the bloody hell is he doing? We've got more rankings, bits and pieces. We're going to jump into some stuff to do with little changes in Counter-Strike, you know, like flash noises or where the bomb drops. Those little details right there. So now, without further ado, let me do the introductions. Lucas, we're going to start with you this evening. Lucas, I want you to tell everybody at home what your favorite food is.
Probably something with rice, but
Something with rice.
I don't
Not
know
a potato?
No.
That's
Okay.
the most boring answer I've ever said.
But-
Rice doesn't taste like anything. What is that answer?
I mean,
It's a good
but,
answer,
but it's
Lucas.
good with like chicken and beef. It's good with everything. So rice and sushi.
Okay. All right. Good answer, Lucas. It's a shit question. If anybody ever asks you what your favorite food is on a date, get the fuck out of there. Second of all, Prof, why is the weather shit in Germany right now? Can you tell me?
Bro, I don't know. It's shit here today as well. So
Okay.
I think it's just like a global thing. It's happening everywhere.
Okay.
It's raining in Ukraine. I saw on an Insta story. So it's probably just like a global thing. I guess that's how weather works. I'm
Just
not
a
sure.
global thing.
Yeah. I don't
All right.
use weather, so I don't know.
And Striker, have you had any dreams in recent times that tell you when we're going back to LAN? I look at you as the type of guy who goes to bed at night. You know, you're soaking yourself in all the Counter-Strike juices. Maybe Gabe with a direct line to you, he's let you know when we will be allowed to go back to LAN.
I have to disappoint you. No dreams at all in like 2 months, as far as I can remember.
Okay, no dreams at all in 2 months as far as you can remember. We might have to get you some stuff to stimulate that. Crystal, say hi.
Hi.
And now we're going to run the bumper. Lucas, run the hot seat. Let's do it. All right, we are back. We have Crystal with us here. And let me do a proper introduction. German Counter-Strike player from the source days. I hear plenty of bloody things from Henry G, let me tell you. But Crystal, now, he has been playing CSGO for the whole time. He's had many a major appearance. He's 27 years of age. I could even give his birthday away because it's one day before mine, but he's born a couple years after me. But we'll leave that one there. Crystal, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, look, as I said to kick things off, I'm in a shit mood, but you're here, so I'm going to smile and we're going to get through this. And I saw the other day, trending in Germany, there was a thing on Twitter that was hashtag cum tribute. Do you have anything to say about that on behalf of
No.
Germany?
No, I saw your tweet. I was more happy about the hashtag Pokemon Go.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You still playing that or what?
Yeah.
Okay, shit. You got to be one of about 6 people in the world still on that one. All right. Now let's turn this very, very quickly into a Counter-Strike conversation because I can derail this thing quicker than anybody likes. Now, for those people who aren't too familiar with Crystal, I don't know where the hell you've been, but most recently you were playing for GODSENT. Before that was Smash. You guys were known as NoChance before that. It's been a bit of a journey over the last, probably year. But your career, it goes all the way back. So what I want to do is, and I had a word to Prof about this because when I was playing at the same time as you, my thing was on not being shit myself, so my peripheries weren't too much on the rest of the world. I know that you were playing for like Alternate Attacks and Penta and then Seed and Sprout and all those kind of names back then. So Prof, do you want to kick it off with the questions about his early career?
Yeah, I guess just like get to know him a bit and how he became the Crystal he is today. I just want to get some information about like what made you the player you are now. Like, did you have any early influences coming into the scene, starting to compete, like the things that shaped you as a player that you remember from like the start of CSGO or like Source and stuff like that?
I think that like everyone knows that I was AWPing before, but I was playing with the majority of the German scene already, like Tabsen, Speedy, and so on. And that was at some point where I was probably the best AWPer in Germany, and I felt really comfortable. And but then it went downhill a little bit, so I was in a bad mood there, and it took me some time to get out of this. So I was I don't know, I was watching a lot of demos actually, and I don't know, I just soaked in whatever I could. I don't really have like a player to watch or that like really inspired me. I just like I don't know. If it was me back then, I would have liked to do everything, which is probably also why I'm IGL now. I found myself in this role because I like to take responsibility, and when things don't go the way I like it, then it's frustrating. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I could probably cotton onto this one right here and run with it. So, if you didn't have any influences within the German scene, like, did you
Yeah.
find yourself as a bit of an outsider from the early stages? Did you always think that you were, maybe not destined to play an international Counter-Strike because it wasn't a thing back there, but because you came primarily through Source, right? You were, yeah. So in Source, for those people who aren't too familiar, the German scene always had competitive teams. There was always very competitive teams within the Source scene, but it wasn't like in 1.6 where they had the mouse sports and that kind of lineage and history. It wasn't the same level of domination there. So when you shifted, obviously, from Source into CSGO, were you on the outside with the other players moving along, or did you feel like you fit in pretty quickly?
No, I actually, if I remember correctly, I was the only one from back then from Alternate who didn't wanted to play CSGO because I didn't like the game. I played the beta, and I mean, who played the beta probably knows what I'm talking about. It was pretty bad. I remember Nates could one kill you, but yeah, we decided as a team that we're gonna try it, and yeah, it felt good after like a few months. If we would have done what Nip did, like Preg even before that, then maybe we would have been at the top earlier. But yeah, there isn't much to say.
Okay.
I just wanted to play competitively again, and I grinded my way into CSGO, even though I didn't like it at first, but now I love it obviously again, and for a long part already. So.
Yeah, so it's come a long way, and you've come a long way as well, right? So if we go back to the early days of Penta and the early majors that we were talking about, the results back then for everybody, right? It was a new frontier for all of us. So when you reminisce and you look back on those days, is there anything that sticks out? Because I know for me, for example, I think, oh shit, I wish that we had like practiced in this way. I wish I had approached it as an in-game leader or a captain in this way with my team. Is there anything that sticks out to you as like not a regret, but something that if you could tell yourself back in 2014 to do something differently or to approach something differently, is there anything that sticks out for you in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. I think what I only like maybe in the last 3 years learned for myself is that, am I allowed to swear? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, as
But
much as you want.
okay, like you should not give a shit about anything what people are writing in like forums. Like it's mostly anyways people that don't have that much knowledge or understanding of the game than you do, or like in my case, as I do anyways. It's mostly like people that watch it as for fun, or like maybe they're betting or whatever. So the only thing you should really take from like these forums is like if there's any like constructive criticism. But even the good things they're saying, like it can get you too comfortable, then you drop the work ethic, and it's also not good. But at the same point, also the bad things they're saying, they have no influence. They shouldn't have any influence to you, because the only thing that matters is what your teammates think about you. At least that's how I think. And if my team thinks I'm doing my job good, then I'm happy with that. If someone in the Twitch chat says I'm a bot, then okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
okay. Yeah,
That's for me. I was really influenced by this back then, and I was like worrying a lot over it. So back in 2015, when I was playing AWP still, this was one of the reasons, for example, why I got into the struggle, because I felt pressured, like, okay, I'm not performing anymore. I need to have more impact with the AWP, and like, yeah, I just went downwards from there. If I would have known this earlier, that it's just important that you keep believing in your team and your teammates, then it would have maybe been different. Maybe I would still be AWPing today, but yeah, it formed me to who I am today.
Yeah, I want to give a bit of a sidebar because I've recently gone through a bit of a self-therapy session in 2.5 months, isolated alone on an island in the middle of nowhere where I knew nobody. So I can resonate extremely with what you're saying right here. And the problem with all of this stuff is I was thinking about it a lot. I was like, if I told myself all that stuff as well, and I go and tell other people, right? Like I have like colleagues who get berated on the forums and stuff all the time. I'm like, hey, just don't read that shit. But it can consume you, right? That's the thing. It is such a massive. We are more connected with social media than other people in fields who are similar to us, right? Like the way that Counter-Strike players and esports people are connected to social media, it's so tight knit. Everything we do is on Twitter, and we're all using Instagram and all this kind of shit. And the thing is, sticks and stones, they may break your bones, but words should never hurt you. But that's not true, because words do fucking sting. Now, anyway, before I get too preachy, I'm in one of those moods today. Let's move it forward a little bit, because When you were in the first Penta situation, it didn't go the best for you. You got a little bit of left behind, I think is the terminology you're using for it, right, Prof?
Yeah, and let's just test it. Is my sound fine now, or is it still...
No, I think so.
Okay, so it was kind of shit at the beginning. But yeah, like your career kind of had a couple of these moments, a lot of them maybe, where you just either left behind, kind of backstab, and there is obviously the whole meme with your AK that you titled traitors, with all of that former teammates, which is next Speedy and Dennis, who left for mouz Sports, took the major spot. After that, DreamHack Winter 2014 major, where you had an like upset playoff run. So how much of that was just a meme? How much of was it? Did you really feel like left behind and kind of bad about the whole situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, back then I still was like a little bit younger than I'm now, so I was probably also acting a little bit more childish. If this would happen nowadays, I would probably not create like a traitor AK. Maybe as a meme, but not like as a personal like revenge or something. But yeah, back then I felt really betrayed, like I got traitored, or how I called it back then. And yeah, I just felt really bad, like I said before. Like this was also a turning point in my career. Before that, I wasn't IGLing, or I didn't even consider it. And yeah, it just was like, if I remember correctly, this was even one of my best lands, I think, when we made it top 8 to the major. We won against LGB. It was the first time I actually took over the IGLing, because we played them before in the same map, we lost. And so I thought, yeah, guys, I have a good feeling, let me call. And I called, I top fragged, we made top 8. I was really happy even after the LAN. I was really glad we did it. Yeah, and then I got home, and yeah, we're gonna go to mouz. Bye. And then I felt like really bad. I just felt really bad. I'm the type of person that like always looks at himself, that why things aren't working out. I'm not really pointing fingers that often. So I was just really feeling really bad back then. But yeah, yet again, like I said, it's made me the person that I am today. If this wouldn't have happened, then maybe the teams that I played before wouldn't have had the success they had with me as an IGL. Like, who knows? But it's just how it is.
So why do you think you were kind of overlooked by mouz Sports? Because you're one of the few people who have been around for this long and never played for mouz Sports in Germany anyway. So why do you think that never came up in a discussion, or was there a chance for you to join mouz Sports at any point?
No, there wasn't. I think there are two factors why that is. One is that obviously there was only one other really good German IGL back then in mouz, which was GODSENT. So there wasn't even a consideration to replace him. And the other was that back then, like, not saying I'm an asshole now, but I was way too nice back then, and I always tried to put everyone in the team in front of myself. Even with our team psychologist that we have now, he said that I'm very much of a people pleaser, which can be good and bad, but it has good qualities and like bad things. And yeah, back then I guess it got abused more than it is getting abused today, since I am not that childish or naive, how you say it, anymore. And yeah, it was just always I put people into the spotlight, I guess, which is still what I'm doing now. But now it's what I said, like my team actually understands and sees the value I have. Which is why I'm grateful for. Yeah.
Do you hold any like, and this, you don't have to answer this one if you don't want. Like if I was in your position, I would probably still hold a little bit of resentment to the players who just like up and left. Do you still are you on good terms with those guys, or do you talk to them at all, or is it basically just they're other Counter-Strike players now?
Well, I don't have anything against them personal anymore, but I would never play with them again. That's for sure.
Okay.
It's like it sounds harsh, but I know it's just a waste. It would be a waste of time. Like I gave them basically a second chance in Sprout or Seed, or how we call it. Because the slot belonged to Sen, Innocent, and me, and yeah, I gave them a second chance to see maybe it changed. But yeah, if you have a certain image of a person once, it's very hard to change it. And for example, Dennis and me, we will never be good teammates together. There's always like some tension between us. So yeah, again, it is what it is. I'm happy the way it is now, and yeah, we are in our separate ways.
Okay.
Well, my question then is for like, obviously there were difficult periods after that. There's the Penta team with you mentioned Innocent, Zen, Sunny, that also did have a good major run. And then that kind of fell apart with players being picked apart, like Sunny going to mouse sports and stuff like that. Again to mouse sports.
Yeah.
Again from Penta to mouse sports.
Frozen.
Were there moments where you're like fuck this, I'm gonna retire or just leave or go pursue something other in esports? Like, were there moments like that?
Yeah, I had this 2 or 3 times already that I was like it's just like as IGL or captain, like maybe not everyone can relate to this, but maybe you, chat, can understand that it's really annoying if you like started to build like the foundation of a team and you start to get better and better, and then one player gets picked. Then okay, we need to get a 5th. We need to like go over everything we have already, get the system running again, and then 1 month later another guy gets picked, and then we need to get like basically you're doing the same thing in 1 year for 3 times, and this was like I don't know, I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. And yeah, it was it got to this point at some point, but I'm very much of a hard worker as well, which is good for me, I guess. And I didn't give up, and yeah, I just worked through it. It was tough, but yeah, I knew if I work through it, it will be even better.
Yeah, I think I was lucky, mate. I was the guy who was at the top of the food chain. I was the one stealing all the other players. So for me, it wasn't that. I didn't have to go through that bullshit right there. But like in terms of getting to a breaking point, like Prof was just saying, did you ever get to a point where you did just think you were going to quit, like, or have you all like? Because being the hard worker, you're saying that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like this. Maybe I didn't make it clear, but it was definitely. I don't know when it was, but it happened 2 or 3 times that I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I even didn't enjoy going to practice anymore. I remember it was after the Penta thing with the major happened, where I was playing with Tubbs and Tarzine. I don't know with who else it was, but one of the Penta lineups, and then obviously after the mouse sports thing again in 2017, when we made it all the way to the major from nothing, and then Sunny went to mouse, and I think HS went to optic back then. Yeah, I felt really bad there as well, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this again. But yeah, I don't know. It was. I don't know actually why I kept doing it. I just forced myself to do the good, I guess.
It's Counter-Strike is a hell of a drug, I guess. Because after that, you had that period where you went to like North America to play with Ghost. You played with Imperial for a short period of time, and then you went and played with NoChance, made that team with Michaelella kind of, and then played in that team for like a year without any salary. And you went through all of that after all of this shit that happened. So why did that NoChance team work, and how did you even how did you sustain yourself for so long without a real organization?
Yeah, it was actually, I think that was on HLTV News, that I was coaching the big academy team during the period where I was in NoChance, since we didn't have any contract. So the only money I was getting was via stream or big academy coaching money. Yeah, I don't know. It was. I don't know, it was just, we had really hard workers in the team that went through a similar thing that I went through before. So we all knew what it was like, I guess. And yeah, I got reunited with Zen as well, which I've played probably the longest now, if I'm counting overall days. And yeah, it was just really fun, because it felt for me that these people are actually playing with me. That because not only they want to play with me and they appreciate me as a player, a person, but also because they want the same thing, which is very important. I think that everyone wants the same thing. And I had this, for example, when I was in other teams. I think when I was in Rogue for a few months in America, I had this. This was actually the only time where I had this feeling that the people don't really want to play for the win, but just for the money. And I didn't really like it at all. And if you get this feeling, then it's not good.
Yeah, I think that might be a problem that I think a lot of teams maybe, or players, face in North America, right? Because they can make really good money over there and just kind of coast, at least at a certain level. But with the big academy coaching stuff, that's actually quite a curious little point there. Did you, doing that, did you learn anything that you've been able to bring forward and use with GODSENT and your current roster, or the current way that you approach the game? Like, was it a good experience to sit back and have all these players to micromanage and kind of teach?
Yeah, it was actually fun to like. I sometimes called rounds like fully from within like spec. When I said, guys, I want to try this, maybe it works, and like it was just good to see like a different angle, and I like their IGL, seeing it from his point of view with like, okay, why isn't he calling this right now, even though his teammate on this position gave him this info? Like it was good to like get like, I don't know how to explain it, but to see like the reactions of everyone on the server and compare them to mine. And yeah, it was also good to like manifest what I already know about the game, because I always said, yeah, guys, it's 5v3 now, try to play trades, no more risks needed, blah blah blah. And I just like I like kind of like how we say it, like a kindergartner. I just told them,
Sure.
guys, now yeah, just like a little bit out of the back, like supervising them basically. And it was like, it helped me a lot in like like seeing how important the basics are, like trading or information. Like I remember one example where they played overpass and they were T side, and the B lurker, he didn't call for 3 rounds that they're not using B monster utility. And then either they need to change the style towards B, pressure it that they make them use utility, or they abuse it and contact it or something.
Okay.
And stuff like this, that is like very important. Like I saw that it's very important that every single member of a team from the spectator position like has this impact, and that only the IGL can call good if the players give him good information.
All
So
right.
this was what I learned from this, I guess.
That's cool, because I always had like issues as an in-game leader, being in like the bubble of Australia and stuff. And then even when we were competing and living in North America, it's very difficult to, you don't go to other in-game leaders and you all sit down, you have a talk about the way that you think you should approach the game and stuff, right? Like you're all learning at your own pace, and the influences that you get are pretty far. And like I remember I had a couple chats, like Sean Gares gave me some information on like how to like anti-strat a bit better and all those kind of things. We're going back a long time now. Or I remember I had like with Devilwalk and the Fnatic team back then, I got stuck in a house with them and I got to pick their brains a lot and ask some questions there. So for you, who's kind of been like bouncing around from different teams and having to rebuild teams with different pieces, have you had to constantly change the way that you think about the game, or are you still kind of running it in a similar fashion as you have been?
No, I would definitely say I always evolved more. Like how, like for example, when once Devilwalk joined us as coach, he had like a lot of ideas that he brought from Fnatic, or like everyone has like a certain CS philosophy, and I also believe that at a certain point, the longer you play, you will not like get better mechanically wise. So the only thing you can improve on is like the mindset, or like understanding the game in a different view. So he helped me a lot of like making his ideas my own. So and it has happened in the other teams as well. When I played in America with Ghost and with Steel, he was basically the real IGL I ever played under, because I think I'm one of the only German players that didn't play with GOB. So the most things that I know, I learned myself, I guess, or with the help of others, and like piece them myself together in a way that's working for me. So yeah, whenever there's that's why I'm also a very open person. So if someone approaches something different than me, it's not like, no, this is bad or this is wrong. I just try to see why he thinks like this, and maybe I can like adapt to it, or maybe change it a little bit to my own style, which is what I'm doing mostly with the teams I play. Like if there's someone who has an idea or the way he wants to play, I try to figure out how we can use it in a system or for the team, so it makes sense. Not that he isn't frustrated, he cannot play the way he wants to, but also that I don't that I call the way that's appropriate for everyone. If that makes sense.
Okay. Do we have anything on the past stuff before we get into the present, Striker and Prof?
Not in particular.
Okay.
Well, okay, wait. What I had one thing that from the start is kind of a jokey question, but you were talking about the fan pressure and stuff like that. So my question is, how was it to play against alongside the legend Solak?
I mean, yeah, it became a meme, unfortunately, in the end. But in CSGO, he just wasn't that good anymore. Like he was probably one of the best teammates I ever had. He's really funny, always cheering up, positive vibes, making the team like calm down when there's like stress. But in CSGO, he just didn't play as good as he was in Source. And Source, he was really, really good. And yeah, I haven't really thought about that much, actually, like how he called and how he called, because he was my caller in CSS. I didn't think about it too much, actually. Maybe I need to think about it.
It's a different game,
yeah.
mate. Don't think about that shit. Fucking hell. Source strats. We
But
were
I always
just
had a
running
good feeling
around.
with him. That's what I can say.
Okay. A good team spirit.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to look at the more, I guess, current roster of GODSENT. Now, we won't get too stuck into the Makalele drama. I think we've almost beaten that horse to death on this show. We've had some fun with it, though. That was really funny at the time. But if we're going to look at the team as it is, you've obviously added Farley as the most recent addition, which feels like was some time ago now. And how things have been trending for the squad. Obviously, we'll get stuck into the opportunity that didn't come your way with ESL One Cologne a little bit later in the show. But going into the second half of the year, how are things feeling from the GODSENT camp? Are you guys, I don't want to ask, doing well in practice, but are things looking good?
We are still right now at the moment at this phase where we like need to get back to getting all our like synced up plays, like getting back the feeling of how to approach a certain map and stuff like this. We're still like not back to the fully focused GODSENT from before the player break, but we are moving forward, I would say. Like it's not been too bad, it's not been super good, but it's more on the positive trend, I would say. Right now.
Is there anything that sticks out from what happened in the first half of the year? Because obviously changing an AWPer is quite a big role to be changed within a team.
You mean like in comparison before Michael or?
Well, actually, yeah, let's do that. What the comparison between the two AWPers? Obviously, we had Makalele come in for some interviews on some of the broadcasts we were doing for the RMR event and Pro League and that kind of stuff, I think it was. And he was saying that there was 2 maps he wasn't comfortable AWPing on.
Yeah,
I think they were Nuke and Vertigo.
Yeah.
So obviously, Farley, he seems like he's confident AWPing everywhere, right?
Yeah, like actually he said that he didn't like this too in the beginning, but he even said like he doesn't understand why he's so good on it now. But I guess we are just good fit together, everyone. So before with Michael, it was more like if you compare the two, sometimes we needed Michael to take more risks or like get opening duels or create space or like make them slow down their default ST by interrupting them with the AWP. And yeah, this was sometimes a problem because he was more like a stationary AWPer, like holding an angle or like taking an area with support of his teammates and then holding the angle. And Farley is more like, yeah, he's more like a hybrid AWPer. He does both, and it has been a good fit to the team because he creates more openings than before, I would say, and also CT side, especially on Nuke, like you mentioned, like we had a big issue there before, and on how to figure out how to use Michael in the most effective way. And I think right now it's really good that we have Farley on our CT side Nuke. Like it's just really helpful to have him. Like it feels like he's always in the area of the map where he needs to be. Like he instinctively moved to where the next danger might be. So like if it's a round hits like the 50-second mark, then he's not like in CT spawn anymore, but he's more like positioned where the potential next attack might be. So
he's not someone you need to like micromanage on the
not
map.
that much, no.
That's pretty good for a player so young, right?
Yeah, he's a really good. Yeah, that's why his name is Farley. Dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has a really good feeling on when to do plays and when not.
All right. So I suppose one of the other questions here, Prof, you want to ask about your boy? Is it Maiden? Is it Madden? Which one is it meant to be?
I don't know. He doesn't know.
We don't know either. No
We
one
can
knows.
say either.
Yeah.
I always call him Pavel, even though his name is Pavle as a joke. But yeah.
I always call him Madden, just because
Madden.
like
Yeah.
people do that here because that's how you would read it if it was like Croatian or Serbian or whatever, even though it doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, like how did he fit into the? Even though I wanted to ask about Stiko actually, but let's put it aside for now. How did the young Montenegrin fit into the team? Like was he kind of a wild card when he dropped into the team? Because that was kind of, I guess, early on his I don't know, resume here in the scene. He was kind of a classic young star that was maybe gonna be good, but not one of the like super highly touted players when he was like 2-3 years ago. So
no, I think like I personally don't have anything really, I don't know, bad to say about him. He's a really good player. He's young. He is really willingly to learn new things. He openly says what he thinks, but in a way that we can like not like nah, like whining or something, but more like we need to do this. We cannot let them do that. Whatever. Like he openly voices always what he thinks. And in the beginning, we needed to figure out a little bit, which is what I mentioned earlier, how to use him the best way for the team. So in the beginning, we tried to use him more as like fully entry, but he even said himself after like a few weeks that he would prefer it to be more like the the guy that goes in second to trade people. But if he decides he has like a feeling he wants to go first, so him and me are more like a duo. Like if he doesn't know where to go somewhere on the map, I just give the plan. Yeah, let's go here. I go first. You trade me, for example. And if he has a feeling, then I adapt to him. So he has a lot of like deciding power as well. Like if he has a feeling, we just play on him sometimes, or create chaos on the map, let him thrive in the scenarios which he's good in. And yeah, I think he's a really good player. There's not much else to say.
Do you want to ask that follow up about Stico?
Let's go. Yeah, let's talk about Stico, because he's kind of a weird situation as a player. As I mean, not in your team. In your team, he's been pretty consistently good, but coming from Hellraisers, then going to like mouzSports, Cloud9, and then back to Europe in GODSENT, NoChance. Kind of a lot of change for him as a player. How do you see him? How is he like as a teammate now? Because he used to be like the fully dedicated support player, MP9, dropping up to Oscar, play no Kevlar and stuff like that. And now he seems like someone that has a pretty different vision of the game and how he approaches and stuff. How is he as a teammate?
Yeah, I think because I'm more like the guy that helps the team with whatever it needs, and Stico was in the same shoes before. He kind of understands what it's like, so at least I think he appreciates the way I play for the team as well, and he especially also is very good at supporting, even when he can shift very fast from doing the plays to like knowing what he needs to do to support his teammate, or how to like put them into the position. Like let's say he created a space somewhere, then he knows how to like, once he abused like his timing or whatever, to put the others into good positions. In after blends, for example, he coordinates a lot, like play on my contact, you do this, you flash when I have this, whatever. Yeah, and he's just a really good pistol player overall. He's very calm. I don't know. The other teams probably used him wrong in my eyes. Like he can be a star player, and right now he is, and he's doing his job really good. And also outside of the server, like he brings in a lot of ideas to our theory, takes a big part in it with Lofa, Devilwalk. And
still using the nickname. They've still got that for him, huh?
Yeah.
I remember all those back in the day. Yeah, there was some weird Swedish nicknames. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities between you and Stico, to be honest. I think his problem was exactly the same as you were saying earlier, with being too nice, being too like put into all the bitch positions and being okay with it and stuff like that. And then like one day in mouzSports, or like when he came back into mouzSports after Snacks replaced him and he came back, he kind of realized that's not what he can do. And I feel like that's the turning point for him.
Yeah, that's also what he voiced a lot, that he even said it to us when we joined, that he doesn't want to just when he joined us in NoChance, he said that he doesn't want to join our team just to play support. He wants to have more impact and take more responsibility in his role, because he believes in his abilities. And yeah.
To be honest, like I remember when he joined that team, and I messaged him. I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Like, is this your career now? Is it you're going to this team like all like ex washed up players? Not literally, but like it didn't look good for him." And he's like, "Okay, I'll do my best, see what happens." And now they're like a top 20 team. So a lot of these teams, like players that he used to play with, are not in the same position, are in worse positions than he is now. Oscar, even Sunny with Vents and other guys that kicked him, Snacks. All of these guys are not really in great positions now. So it kind of worked out for him. But I was like super skeptical. I think most people were when that happened, but he turned it around. So good for him.
Yeah, maybe he realized mouzSports is a curse. Maybe.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, we'll get to that later. Don't you worry. Let's do this. Let's wrap this one up. And
I wanted to ask one more thing, just because when we had Pronax on, obviously he kind of revealed that like hidden thing that you were out of the team for like a few days or something before they realized that they just needed you back. Can you go through that? What was that like?
I don't know. It was. I think we didn't play that good, and there were some. I actually can't recall what the issue was, but for example, what Devilwalk always said, that I have really like the way I play is good, and my calling is also good, but I need to improve on the mid-round calling. So calling from spawn or like abusing patterns I was good at, but he said I need to improve on other things, and we gave it some time and it didn't work out that well, so they tried someone else. But then I can just say what they told me. They realized that not only my calling was important for the team, and they needed me. That like I said before, it's just what, like, I don't know if this is what they said, but like I said, I just play for the team always. Like, I try to put people in their comfort zone, even though it means that I'm not in mine. But we even talked about this recently, that we were talking about Flame F actually, because we were talking about the game he was playing against Navi, and that he always is very consistent. And then I said, I watched the podcast before as well. And then I said, I would probably also get more kills if not as a Flame, but we just talked about it like normally, that Flame F sometimes puts himself into like the third position going in or lurking position as a caller, which I don't do that much. But then Lofa Devilwalk, said that but we don't need me in like these positions because we have Stuku as clutcher. He's like super good in clutching. Maybe as good as Xypnix, I would like. He's really good in clutching. So many rounds he won 1v3, 1v4. Then we have Maiden, who shouldn't go first in because he is super good at like trading and getting the double refrag. Then we have Zen, who is super good at lurking and abusing like this timings and the like. We have everyone so good in these roles, so I'm glad that I will just go first. I decide where we go as a caller anyways, and they just trade me. I put them in good positions, and that's
I mean,
that's how we work.
Blame F even said himself that he kind of baits his teammates sometimes, and that he doesn't even think he has like good aim. He thinks he has shit.
It goes the other way there. Yeah, he said that if I remember correctly, he said that he likes to be in this deciding moments, and he is a good clutcher, I think, from what I saw. But if you have someone like Stuku in the team, it would like be wasted to send him in first, for example, or not let him lurk. So like we have a good functioning system. So this is why I also don't have many, or like not that many often kills, like the chat always says, and which is fine for me. I don't care. You're winning. I know I'm going first. I kill one. I call the other two. Pavel goes out. I mean, Martin goes out, kills him. Then we have Yesel lurking, securing the round. Like, I don't care. This is fine for me.
No, you're right. You're right. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing, right? And things have been looking up and up for GODSENT. So, do we have any more questions, Striker or Prof? Or are we good for now?
I think we're good.
All right. Let's keep it moving. Lucas, roll the recent news. All right, well, we are back with the recent news, and this is where we, I was going to say stick into, that doesn't make any sense. This is where we jump into all the bits
You've
and
been
bobs.
talking to those Instagram girls for way too long, man.
Instagram girls?
Oh, dude, not Insta, you know what I mean.
Don't even get me started on how absolutely barren my fucking DMs are looking, mate. I'm getting old. No one is interested in a 31-year-old fucking Counter-Strike analyst. Let me give you the hot tip.
I see you're baiting not just for coaching jobs, but now also for like girls.
How many girls do you
DMs.
think are watching the HLTV Confirmed podcast?
I think it's about
it was like 5% or something like that.
2 or 3% probably. Yeah.
I'm not out here trying to look for anything. If anything, I should.
And they're like 90% underage, so don't get involved with that. Just saying.
Anyway, don't slide into my DMs. Stay the fuck away. I'm mentally tapped in the head. But what else is mentally tapped in the head is North. Because something over there in the water, it doesn't work. But they're trying a new little ploy. They've added a Swede. So now they have Jumpy as the coach. Right? We already knew that one. That one's happened. And now Lekro has joined the squad. As I don't know what type of role they're going to be looking to put him in with this team. Obviously, before when he was in NIP, he was taking over the in-game leadership duties. But before that, in his previous Swedish rosters, he wasn't doing the in-game leading stuff. He was more of just, I guess let's call him like a glue player. You know, he was doing everything that he needed to do for the team as a rifler. Has some good Deagle clips right there. So maybe him and AZ, they could be best friends. That could be cool. But the roster over there, if you're not too familiar, ladies and gentlemen, just for everybody playing at home, it's Gade, MSL, Cajun, B, AZ, and now Lekro. So we know that the languages are kind of similar in some way. I don't know. It's like magic to me that it works and they can talk to each other. But do we see, and I'll start with you here, Striker, do we see Lekro as a good fit for North?
I think he's going to do okay, but I just don't see this as a solution, especially like as a replacement for probably your best fragger. That was Kjaerbye. I just don't see how they're going to have enough firepower for in this team at this point. Like
It's like
Rekro's going to do okay. He's going to be a solid fit for, I feel like, almost any team. Like he's going to be able to fill in most positions pretty okay, but he's not going to be amazing. He's not going to get this team back into the top 10. It's not going to be the difference that they needed.
thing is, like, even if he is on the same level as like Kjaerbye was in his like good form the last year, like 110 rating, something like that, just like talking about like a number, that is still not good enough for North. Like if they had that and they didn't do well, they're like top 25 in the world, not where they want to be. So from that perspective, it's kind of meh, especially because they're going to be talking this like Swedish, Danish, whatever combination. It's probably not going to help either. And then it's just like the other players are not exciting either. It's just like, okay.
I am curious about where he's going to fit in because I don't see him just replacing Kjaerbye 1-for-1. I guess he could,
Like, I mean,
but I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like they're going to move things around, and I'm curious about how.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the issue was also just like them not picking up Farlig when he was available. Like that was the obvious thing for North, bringing in a AWP player, Danish player. They kind of slept on that, and Crystal's guys came in, picked him up, and now they're kind of stuck there with, I don't know, not an exciting roster with like Gade and kRYSTAL, both kind of okay players. Then you have also MSL, AZ. Like none of these guys like scream winning titles in 2020 or 21.
I'm just playing with some audio settings, so hopefully it's not too bad now. But that's the thing, right? When we look at them on paper and we look at it from the pundit chair, we don't think as North as a threatening team, right? For you, Crystal, when you look at North as a potential opponent, where do you put them on the level of, oh shit, we have to be really worried about these guys?
I think our last officials against them, we won. So I can just say what I can compare our practices from before Lekro and after Lekro, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't think there hasn't been much of a style change. So I think they're still playing the same way from what I felt like in the practice. Yeah, I'm also not really sure in what role Lekro will play, but I can imagine that maybe since like you mentioned, he was forced into the IGL role, maybe he can help out with some other things that we as spectators don't see. Maybe micromanaging a little bit, helping MSL out. I don't know. I think it's more like a future pick. Like it will not pay off instantly, I think.
So, like MSL teams from a player's perspective, does it seem? And I'm not trying to make this sound bad because I think MSL is a good call and I think he can always set up very good structures and stuff within the teams that he's in. But when I watch it, it always feels like this is self-deprecating. It always feels like I know what he's going to call because that's what I would call, and I obviously haven't been playing now in many a year. So does his style feel predictable at all, or am I just reading into things a bit strangely?
For me, his style feels like very team orientated. Like there's not a lot of like chaos happening or like things that like, yeah, let's just use the smoke here. Let's pop flash 3 guys behind it and go for kills or something. That's not something he would call, I would assume, or it doesn't feel like it, at least for me. When we play them, it's very like stage 1 we do this, stage 2 we do that, and then stage 3 we either fake it, second wave, execute. Like it feels very yeah, not predictable, but it doesn't feel pressuring for you as a CT, I would say.
So you kind of know not that you know what to expect, but you know which game style you're going to get, right? It's not too much outside of the box.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't get caught off guard. I guess that's kind of
it's not like
feeling.
This. Like for example, Team Spirit, they can get you caught off a lot. They do surprising things that you like, what is he doing? Why is he in the smoke, pushing it, and stuff like this. I don't feel like you would get this from a team like North. That's my personal feeling.
Do you think, like, just a general question, is that something you have to, like, that is my opinion, that nowadays you have to have that element to be like a top team. Even like an Astralis, when they play like super solid CS, also had that feeling. Like sometimes they just execute or throw like 2 flashes, go through a smoke, or someone does some play. Is that something that you think every team needs to have nowadays?
I think every team should have some certain random factor, so you don't get like read very easily. And like, for example, I had this discussion with Devilwalk because what let's say you play around like this where it's like kind of random or like risky or like surprising. Like, what is the counter to that? What would the CTs think? Like, they cannot really. Like, what do you do if a guy just runs through a smoke and kills 2? Like, what is your adaptation? Like, you don't gain any like information of this that you can use for the future rounds. Like, yeah, don't get caught off guard. Okay, but I mean,
you're trying to do that all the time.
yeah. So I think it needs to be both ways. I think this is also, at least my opinion, not trying to change the topic, but why, for example, Big also has been successful lately, that they try to find that they figured out a style where they can be more aggressive and surprising early, maybe get more, not that structured and not that hardcore structured as before with Copy, which in my opinion, plays into their hands because
I think you're right. The people are still getting caught off guard by how much they're like have one guy on the side and they just randomly group up and just push one area, catch people off guard, get like one kill, and get an entire site. Like that's been a pretty big, pretty big point of theirs.
Yeah. Just basics, yes. Just go out and kill, and not like trying to outsmart every round. I mean, if you can, it's good that you can outsmart them, but if you don't, then yeah.
Okay. Well, Striker, do we
What's
see? I just wanted to go into just to round out the North thing here. We said that I think I agree with you in the sense that this doesn't feel like it's going to be a game changer for these guys. How long do you think they can just tread water with this kind of constellation of players? Because
they're
obviously
just gonna keep changing, man.
Yeah,
they have been, and they're gonna keep doing it, I think.
Okay.
It's just like this seems like a magic circle with North. They're like trying to fix something, it doesn't work. They change another player, it doesn't really work. They don't really move anywhere. And this is just this is a big cycle that I don't think North are getting out of anytime soon. Like I feel like they need like mega big core changes, but they've tried that before, and that hasn't worked either. So it's difficult to see a way out where they can reach bigger heights.
Do you think they've missed the wave of talent at the moment, Prof, in Denmark? They have to wait for the next bunch to build up before.
I think they probably aren't even aiming for the next wave of like Danish talent. I guess they're just looking to go international, as most teams are nowadays. I think this is just their, like, from that perspective, it's something to look forward to for them, that they kind of open the gates to pick up different players. And when the opportunity arises, they will do that. Let's say maybe if, just a random thought, I know Ships hasn't been like in the spotlight recently, but when like that team was in the top 30 or whatever they were playing, he was a good player, and now he seems to be on the bench of Contact. So maybe he's a player that they can pick up and like rejuvenate stuff. Like maybe he doesn't fit into MSL system at all, but just randomly giving an example of what they could be looking for down the line.
I just think MSL needs to reinvent himself, and especially his approach to the opping, because I feel like that's just been an area where North have been lacking for a long time. And I think that's also where like a lot of the surprise factor comes in, because obviously his opping is not going to be like super surprising. He's not going to be moving around a shitload and, you know, surprising people and stuff like that. And that's just something that he needs to incorporate into his playstyle for sure. And it's not going to happen until they get like an up and coming opera, I don't think.
Well, you look at that team, there's no crazy like entry fragger or anybody to cause the chaos, right? You would say AZ, but his performances over the last couple of years have been way too up and down to make a huge splash. And then Gade, look, I could have seen it for a small period of time, but now when I watch it, I just see him as a guy, you put him in his place and he'll get 2 kills for you in a passive role, not necessarily such a hugely aggressive one. But speaking of aggressive players, we'll keep it moving from North because it's a bit of a dead horse over there at the moment. We'll go over to a dead mouse. woxic has been benched. Now,
this is big.
Yes, this is big news, and it's come straight off of their first showing from the player break. So this is pretty telling to me that there was potential of this happening before the player break. Prof, what do you make of that?
I mean, there is something tied to. They obviously announced like the Bimas signing as a 6th player like a week or 2 ago. I don't know. I was on vacation.
It was like at the start of the new season. It was like the first day into the season or something.
That was like 20 days ago. Okay, yeah. I had a 2-week vacation almost. So
that's all right. You're allowed to.
Thank you, Chad. So obviously there is some planning, and like the way it was described in the report is that like issues. What was the terminology? It wasn't toxic, as people are just spamming for some reason, but it's like attitude issues, maybe issues in practice or something like that. That is not something that happens like in 1 week and then you bench a player. That was obviously happening for a longer period before the break as well. So they were like, okay, let's sign this player. He's okay. And then let's give it one last shot. Obviously didn't turn out well. They bombed again. So then they pulled the trigger on the replacement. That's how it sounds to me.
I'm just curious about that. I'm not entirely sure that that's the case, just because from what we've heard so far about this change, it's not even certain that Bimas is the one who's going to be stepping back in, and that was the whole like he wants to finish school and stuff like that. I know that Frozen didn't really get to do that, even though he wanted to in Mousesports because of how busy they are. Obviously, Robs was able to do that at a time when they didn't play all the big events. They didn't travel every other week or something like that. Obviously, they don't travel now, but
He
they
also
play
had
everything
like
that
a
they
very
can.
weird, had a weird thing with school where he had like 2 years. He took like 2 years to finish 1 year of school or something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. He was
They were
able to
super
do it.
flexible. So
Yeah, and it just feels like a weird turn of events for me. I feel like mouz just like picked up Bimas just because they had the chance. They knew he was out of phase. They saw him as a prospect that they can use in the future. But then like this woxic thing came up when they realized they weren't going to fix it at the new season. Obviously, they did. They had a horrible showing in Cologne, at ESL One Cologne. They bombed out to Mad Lions in that last match. That was a pretty horrible series from them overall. So I feel like that was like the final nail. But I'm not entirely sure that Bimas is the expected replacement at this point, or maybe he is the expected one, but maybe they're still looking.
Okay, Crystal, do you think this is the mouse sports curse you were talking about, or is that for only Germans?
Yeah, normally it's just the players that joins mouse and leaving me.
Okay.
But, no.
Special
I
caveat.
don't actually know what was going on there. Like I spoke to Woxic even before he joined mouse, and he asked me for some advice. I remember, because he wanted to go international because he felt like he's stuck in the Turkish scene. So yeah, it's for me it's very sad to see him benched, because I think he's a good player. And from what I have noticed, or when I talked to him, he seems like a good guy, really motivated. And yeah, only thing I can conclude is that maybe it started when they were losing or like not placing where they wanted to get placed in the RMR tournaments, because they also got, I think they didn't make the groups once or twice. I don't actually know.
They had some
but
pretty poor showings, yeah.
yeah,
when
and I
moved
know
online.
they were in our group, where the group of death with I think mouz, G2, and Fnatic,
Yep.
where we came out first, I think, and they didn't get out. So maybe that turned into played into it as well, the RMR tournaments.
So if we just look at the mouse sports roster as it is right now, right, it's clear that Rops has taken over as the main star of that team. Obviously, we know Carrigan doing the entry fragging, in-game leading, kind of opening up space duties for them. kRYSTAL, if we just assume, I know Striker, you're saying it's not guaranteed that BMS will be taking over that position, but if we just assume that he is, he's just going to have to slot into a rifler role. I don't know if they want to put him in a supportive position like kRYSTAL, because kRYSTAL we assume is going to take over the AWPing. But hasn't Frozen been having a rough time of it lately?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the two people that we kind of expected could be changed would be kRYSTAL or Frozen because of performance entirely. So yeah, that would have been my first choice, obviously. But like I don't think this is performance related at all. Not based on everything that we've heard. So yeah, I just feel like mouz had a really shitty atmosphere as of late, and that's kind of understandable. Like after like something like 5 events in a row that they bombed out of the group stage outside of that charity event, you're going to have a pretty bad atmosphere in the team, and it's just going to escalate. So this change, even though performance-wise it doesn't really make a lot of sense, I feel like there's very little that wouldn't do Mousesports some good at this point. Like they are at such a low point that even kicking like one of your biggest stars might even make a difference, especially if kRYSTAL kind of like gets a second breath, gets back onto on the op as he had, I don't know how many years ago now, before they got Oscar, I think was the last time that he kind of primary opt. So it's going to be like a role change for him that could reinvigorate him and get him back on in putting up pretty decent numbers. And maybe Frozen, if he gets thrown around a little bit because of the role issues that are, I think that are gonna show themselves with Bimas being added, because I feel like they're relatively similar people, Frozen and Bimas. So that could also help Frozen a little bit, give him a new perspective on things. So even though it doesn't make sense performance-wise, I feel like it might help Mousesports.
Okay.
So you, Striker, know Frozen since he's been like 12 or something.
You're lagging as hell. I don't know if that's on my side or...
Is there
no,
a chance?
But we know what he's saying. He said, have known Frozen since he's 12.
Since 13. At 13, I think is the first time that I met him.
Is there a chance that he picks up the op?
Oh,
no way. I don't think there's any way that he would pick up the op
Ooh.
over Kid. Like, I mean, I could see it happening just because like mouz are pretty desperate, I guess. But I think it's just like obviously gonna be kRYSTAL. I think that's just like the obvious solution to me.
Okay, so not reinventing the wheel over there.
Yeah, I don't feel like I don't even remember Frozen ever playing the op like any more than like a normal guy who would just like pick
Picks
it up, if
yeah.
absolutely necessary or something that has a good spawn. I don't think he ever was a player who was inclined towards that weapon too much.
All right. Well, we've looked at it from like more the mouse sports side of things, but we don't know obviously the details of woxic's benching, how much his buyout would be, how long's left on his contract. I don't know any of that information. But let's live in a world where he could go to another team now. kRYSTAL, are there any teams that you think could use the star AWPer at the moment? I'm putting you on the spot here. You probably never even considered this, so that's a hard one.
No, I don't. No, I actually thought the same, that they probably bench him. He's probably still under contract, and his buyout must be pretty high. So if there's a team that would pick him, it has to be one that can afford the buyout. So I don't know. FaZe just recently have Brokey. Is Brokey still up? Yeah, Brokey.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's not an option. I don't know any other team that.
I'm
could
looking at the
use him.
list. I was looking at the list, right? And like obviously Vitality no, because French. G2, they don't need it, they got Kenny. Complexity, they're pretty good with Poison right now. You keep going down the list. But I looked, there's two that stood out to me, right? And this depends on how it goes for Liquid. I don't know how things are going to trend for Liquid, but like Liquid could really benefit from having a star AWPer. And if Gratisfaction doesn't pull up his bloody socks, 100 Thieves could really benefit from having a star AWPer as well. I don't know if either of those sound like good ideas, but otherwise, like OG don't need an AWPer, FaZe don't need an AWPer, Genji could use an AWPer. Anyone? Just me? I'm the only one getting excited.
I guess they have automatic. I don't know if I'm still lagging. I hope
No, you're
fine. I think you're fine.
Yeah.
I think the Liquid one makes a lot of sense. 100 Thieves, I don't think he would fit in with those guys at all. Like the energy levels are
That's
way
true.
off.
He wouldn't. You're right.
But Liquid, I think it could actually work to some degree. Like that would be exciting. FaZe as well. Like I know he's good with most of the FaZe players. Like at least with Nico, that's enough to get you on that team, obviously. So, but the problem is that they kind of have an idea of where they want to go with the roles right now. So kicking Brocky or changing anything would be kind of weird.
Wait, we solved the problem. We were just talking about the team. North. Right?
Okay. Actually, yeah, that fits into what I was saying, that they need like an X Factor AWPer.
So
that might fit actually.
Yeah, but I don't know who they would look to replace in that squad, right? I think Cajun and Gade almost fill very similar roles. MSL, of course, doing the in-game leading. AZ feels like he's a bloody cat with 9 lives. Like I never think that he's playing hugely bad, but he's never playing like great, right? It's not the AZ that we got hyped up to be in the past. So, all right, it might be a while before we see woxic playing on a team again, unless he goes down to the lower tiers. Now we're almost at 9 o'clock. It's already been an hour. Fucking hell. Let's keep this one moving. This one's really exciting. I know, Prof, you wanted to talk about this one. Envy aim to add Thomas. Who's on Envy at the moment? This is Legia stepped back in, right? Who else is playing for him? I'm keeping up. Nifty still there?
Nifty, Mihu, and Calyx. I also checked before the show just to be completely honest. Like, that is a team.
Are we losing him again?
Yeah, I feel like he's lagging a little bit again.
All right, well, we lost him again. But let's just reiterate in case you guys missed it. It's Legia, Mihu, Calyx, and Nifty. I would say right there that Legia is probably going to take over the in-game leadership role. Mihu with a star player meant to be alongside of Calyx there. And then Nifty, I guess he's going to keep AWPing, right? Thomas just
that
feels
makes the most sense.
Thomas feels the AWPer. Thomas feels like a solid rifler role within the team. Didn't he play with you guys on NoChance for a little while, kRYSTAL? So what type? How do you look at him as a player?
I think he has really good aim. He is obviously his communication is good in terms of like you know what he's saying.
Yep, you'd hope so. You'd really hope so.
Yeah, we changed him, so there were some issues, but it's not about him actually. It's more about how he fit into the team. I think he's a solid player. Like if it's just like you said, filling in a rifle role, I think he's a good fit. He's
Right,
just a solid holder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going. Sorry, I jump in real quick around here. I'm real
No,
fucking
just a solid holder. Like we put him somewhere, he gets 2 kills. That's fine.
safe pair of hands. I think that's the terminology we've been using on the desks these days. So Striker, just looking at Envy as a roster, they're European. So
Yeah, pretty much now.
what are we looking at here? Obviously, they're lucky because of the whole. Well, not lucky. Jesus Christ! Because of the global situation, they would be able to, if they were all in North America, right? Be able to compete within the North American RMR events, right? That's how it works.
Yeah. It's all about where you reside.
It's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing in the world for Envy if they were to have.
I don't know how they did
roster.
actually. Didn't they do like okay in the last RMR? Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like they're not doing badly. I feel like they're like. Let me check just in case because I just have that feeling. Actually, no, they did. They're like second lowest.
Okay, so basically,
and fairly like really far off the 7th or like the 5th place that they need. So I think they're already confirmed out.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they're like 2,000 to 200 points off or something. I don't think there's any chance.
That idea goes out the window, I suppose. But I think if we look at it from an organizational perspective, just for a second here, if you are Envy and you have this team and you've already invested this much money, Prof, are you back? Are you still lagging? We got you?
I guess I'm okay now.
There we go. Now, if you're Envy, Prof, do you keep spending more money in this, getting more visas, bringing more people over, or do you just like get rid of the team you have and maybe pick up the Pug Gods or some shit?
I don't know. Like, I think whatever I think doesn't even matter because that is not anything Envy would do because they obviously want to build their legacy on Nifty for some reason. So that is just like, but whatever. I would still. I think they have a couple of decent European players now if they pick up Thomas. Even though Thomas is arguably downgrading himself, going from like endpoint to a team that is like barely top 100 in the rankings right now and played like 4 games in the last 3 months. So that's also a decision. But obviously Envy is going to pay more than endpoint. So that's a good side.
True, that's the money, but you never want to be in that position, right? We'll listen to Crystal about that. We won't get stuck too much in here. We can keep this one moving. We can talk about this Alex situation now. He's made some cryptic or not so cryptic tweets in recent times about having some decisions to make. We heard that earlier in the year in an interview that he said, correct me if I'm wrong, something about playing for a Flashpoint team because there wouldn't be as much travel, right? Because it would just be
pretty much.
So he's been out now since what?
March,
after Katowice?
Right after Katowice. I was like days after Katowice they got cut.
So it's been quite a long time. So if you're considering a return to Counter-Strike now and you're wanting to look and build an international roster, which is what I assume is his goal, right? You're going to need a lot of backing. Now, FPX is a big organization. We know that there. But is it likely that he does this? Do we think this is something which will happen? Or is Valorant maybe too enticing for these players at the moment, Striker?
I think talent is going to be the biggest problem for him. It's going to be difficult to get those 5 players together that he wants. Because it's just...
I've heard his buyout is something just absurd.
That's also something. But if you're FPX, you're probably going to be at least able to buy him out. But I feel like the problem is going to be more with who do you pick up with him? Because like the talent, I'm not entirely sure what I would like to see a free agents list just to see like the possibilities. And it's difficult to get something like that today. But still, I just don't think. Yeah, okay. You have yeah, there's woxic. That's true. There's one that could work.
That's another 500,000 probably on the buyout.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, well, who knows? Who knows how it is with mousesports? Like they're not the biggest orgs, so maybe they don't have a mega massive buyout. I'm not entirely sure.
They've also been one of the hardest ones to negotiate. If you remember Sunny and stuff like that. So
that's true.
So. This one here is another weird one, right? I guess we'll breeze over this. We don't have to dig too much in this. We'll wait and see what happens. We'll keep our eyes on Alex. We'll see where he's going. Assessing the ranking update. Are we do we want to jump into that, or do we want to keep moving? Maybe jump.
No, but we can touch on the contact one. With that
happened. Yeah. Okay, hold up. Lucas, I'm going to send you this. Bring it up. This has just happened. This is some breaking news. Here you go, Lucas. Whack this one up. This has just come out. Within the last hour, basically, even less, while we've been doing the show, that the team of Contact, another Flashpoint team, are looking to make some changes. They have made some changes. So you said that Ships was on the bench, right? Emmy, we always thought that he was going to be on the way out, but they've actually brought in smooya, which is strange because Otto's on the team, and I thought Otto was the primary opera of that squad. And they brought in Spinx, and when we had Device on the show, I believe that Device was talking a lot of good things about Spinx. So that would be a pretty cool one to see. Now Spinx is from, I don't want to get this wrong, is it Israel? Is that where he's from? Is that what that flag is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm really bad with geography, guys. Don't hate me. I know that Crystal is
You can
south.
hover over the flag, by the way, on HLTV, and it's going to tell you what the country is.
That's quite nice. I didn't know that was a feature. All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's from Israel. I can say that with confidence. So Smooya's been reunited with Neil, so that's kind of cute over there. But Crystal, obviously, you're learning this news as quickly as we are, unless you've been in the back channels finding out what's going on.
No, I didn't know about this until now as well.
What do you make of having Smooya and Otto on the same team, having two guys who are primary AWPers?
Yeah, I don't know
apparently secondary, by the way.
Who?
Yeah, Smooya.
Moya's going secondary, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, how do you think that's going to work?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's always good to have two people in the team that are good at AWPing. I mean, some maps require double AWPing, or where it's very beneficial to have. Yeah.
What do you think about the Spinx kid as well?
I haven't played too much with him in FPL, I think. But I don't play much FPL in general. But there must be something that they see in him. So if they give him a chance, I think it's always good to give young players a chance.
Yeah, I guess you guys just did that with Farley, and it's worked on out. I was just having a look at, like, even when Device mentioned him the other day, fucking a couple months ago now, I didn't even look into it that much. I'm just clicking it now and having a look around at the types of players and the teams that he's been playing with. And then, at least a couple of the last matches he's played, he was the top fragger for his team. So I guess that's always a positive sign. Prof, you got anything you really want to jump into with this contact stuff?
No. Didn't somebody mention him as like a big? I feel like we had somebody on the show who was talking, who at least mentioned Spinx.
Device did, right?
Was it Device?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Device.
Oh, okay. Aaron, there you go.
I'm almost certain it was Device. Let me check. I can go to Spinx's Twitter, and it'll probably be actually. There we go. Spinx at Spinx CSGO for all of you those listening and watching right now. Yeah, he retweeted something from the June 22nd. Device says that FPL is rich on talent. Give an example of one. Spinx, 19-year-old with 1.15 HLTV rating and 42 maps. Will he repeat his BMS success? We'll see. There we go. So we've nailed that one. Let's keep it moving because we're going to get into some juicy Counter-Strike talking about ESL One Cologne. Now, if you guys haven't been paying too much attention to what's been happening in Counter-Strike in the last week, well, you would have missed the first week of Cologne. But one of the big things...
It's a big thing.
This one here probably hits quite close to home. Is GODSENT were the team who were meant to be getting the last slot for Cologne in the European division, but MIBR came on over, and they took that position. Now, Crystal, did you guys what was the communication like? Did you guys think that you had the slot? Like, what was going on behind the scenes?
I think actually at first we haven't even been contacted when we just saw that they invited MIBR. Then I think we reached out to them, or the management did, and they were like apologizing to us. Was unfortunate things, chain of events, whatever. I don't know. It was like, I don't know. We were just a little bit frustrated about it because I think we, like I mentioned before, this ranking system is still very confusing to me and to a lot of people. And but then we actually, in the ESL ranking, got pretty much into the, I don't know what rank we are right now in the ESL ranking, but we got a higher ranking than MIBR for sure, because we played well in the RMR tournaments, which were by ESL. So yeah, it was just not really fair in our eyes that they got invited. But obviously from a viewers or from the production's point of view, it's understandable why they would, because MIBR is so big and more viewers, etc. But for the players, it's unfair. That's all I can say. For us, it felt very unfair. But
it could easily be down to the Louvre agreement. Though actually, no, they're not one of those teams.
They're not one of the teams.
I forgot about that.
The way it was explained by Carmack and Flying DJ on Twitter was that MIBR were qualified through Road to Cologne, which was the ESL Pro Tour events, the other ranking that ESL have. But even when you check that, they weren't qualified. It was, and that they said that they already made agreements to travel to Europe, so that's why they got the spot in Europe, because they qualified for what would be the LAN qualifier for Cologne, but things then changed. It was like a lot of weird weird decisions, and the way they explained it was super bad. I felt like even if they did the decision, they could have just presented it in a much better way that didn't seem so, I don't know, off-putting. And yeah, obviously a lot of people would say that GODSENT is the better team, or that you guys deserve the invite more at the moment. So that kind of, it just felt weird.
I definitely think we deserve the slot, but I mean, now we can't do anything anymore, so.
Well, at least they're not in Pro League, so you don't have to worry about them taking any slots over there, right? So MIBR now, after bombing out of ESL One Cologne, which is probably the best way to put it, they will not be playing in anything of note until maybe IEM. I don't know. Yeah, that's the one. So it's going to be quite a time, because Pro League goes for a month. This still has another week, so we're talking quite the time. We're talking over a month here until they'll be playing in another big tournament.
But don't worry, if you're a fan of MIBR, you can watch them tomorrow in 12 CEST. They are playing against Wisla Krakow, so in the 9 to 5 number 3. So
okay.
9 to 5.
Okay. I'll be working, so I probably will miss that game. But look, I'm going to pose one here. I'm going to throw this one. I'm going to throw it your way, Prof. I know that you're a man who likes to speak his mind from time to time. Is MIBR done?
No.
This is such a tough question, man.
At least 30 minutes, and at least 30 minutes in the oven, and then they're done.
Okay, so you think if they are unable to pull anything off between now and the end of the year, that's it?
I know, like they'll continuously continue onwards being a team, because they have such backing that they're not gonna dissolve the team. I don't see that happening. It's just gonna be, let's try and change things until it works.
Isn't this the biggest nightmare though? Is like having a team that has so much support, aka the Virtus Pros of the old, that they stick and they keep doing this for year after year after year, and it drops off, and they're almost, well, I was going to say they're going to ruin their legacy, but I would say based off recent social media bits and bobs that have gone on down, not bits and pieces.
I like how you changed that at the last second. Yeah,
that they've already kind of ruined their legacy, right? They haven't been fielding themselves as professionals. They have been having a lot of tantrums online. It's almost like following my Twitter feed from a couple years ago. So this MIBR team, as much as, we love what they've brought to Counter-Strike, and I love the way that they used to be able to approach the game, just watching them play now, they don't even feel overly competitive. I know that FaZe series, it wasn't the worst series in the world. I don't know.
It had some moments. It had some good moments.
It definitely had some moments, but I don't know, like, you can only keep doing the thing where you cycle through changing the fifth so many times. Obviously, very NIP-esque. This is just the most recent one of those teams to throw in that boat, right? We got NIP, we got Virtus Pro, and I guess now we have MIBR. Those would be the three biggest ones that stick out in my mind, unfortunately, who have been unable to go back to that level of success. And this bunch hold on to their previous success more than the other two that I just talked about, right? And I think that's the most jarring thing from a spectator point of view, unless you're a Brazilian. Right? For the rest of the world,
you never heard like GetRight saying, "But we won the major and we were 87-0. Like, respect that legacy." He never said that. He just said, "I'm super shit right now and I suck, but I'll be better," or something like that. So it's a cultural thing, I guess.
Sure. Look, we can put it down to that. But I suppose that when we look at this from the rest of the world standpoint, that isn't the case, right? Like, everybody can see that they're struggling. Everybody wants at least wanted them to return, right? Because the same thing, we'd always say, well, Counter-Strike's better when VP are one of the best teams in the world. Counter-Strike's better when MIBR are one of the best teams in the world. Like those things, they make sense because of the type of Counter-Strike and the type of personalities they have. A lot of the teams that we're having these days are being like put in these boxes where their personality dips on off, and their flair within the server, it's not as much as what it has been in the past, or people don't have the big lovable Pashas and the Snaxes of the world. So there's a lot of reasons to why these guys, obviously from a viewership perspective, you want to keep them around. But from a playing perspective, you throw them in, you lump them in with a bunch of other names who could all compete within that same level. And now they're going to stay in Europe boot camping, so this is their best time. There's no pressure for a little while because they don't have any big tournaments to be playing in. MIBR are going to make money off of these guys no matter what.
They have a lot of pressure in these games that they're going to be playing, and like
surely they don't lose these, man.
You never know. Like these teams are not shit. Like these are like top 30, 40 teams that they're going to be playing against. So it could happen. I'd argue that is like super high pressure for them. And online, Europe, all of these guys that are hungry to like beat Fallen, never played against him. It's gonna be good shit.
Okay, well I'm glad. Well, it gives us something to get excited about right there. Okay, other than the fact that kRYSTAL and his boys got fucked, let's move past that just slightly. And let's talk about German Counter-Strike. I laugh because the number one team in the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are big. They bombed out. They came last in Cologne. And I really don't know what to put it down to. Does anybody have any answers as to maybe what's gone wrong here?
I think this yeah, sorry, go.
I just think, I wanted to touch this Sprout match as well. I think maybe they were, like you said, maybe they weren't like completely like focused, or maybe pressure got to them because it's a German dual rivalry, maybe.
Sure.
When I watched the game, I also saw that I think it was Santaris who didn't have a good game, didn't play as good as before. So I don't know I don't know actually. Just felt really rough. Didn't seem like the big that they have been the weeks before. I remember also a few stupid mistakes, but I really don't need to go too much into detail. But they could have won Nuke, I remember. They was just not their day, I guess. At least against Sprout.
Strike, you want to pick that up where you were headed with that?
No, yeah, I was going to say something very similar. I felt like that game in particular just felt like exactly like the type of like a local rivalry where it just goes really random, and they just know each other too well and stuff like that. It seemed like that kind of a game to me as well, because I saw like the first two maps, I think, and
but do they know each other really well? Like, I feel like the domestic stuff goes out. So who in that team, other than Dennis and Spitty, with a bit of history with some of the other boys, where else is their history, right? Because Faven's like 12 years old. No, I know he's not. No disrespect, Faven, but I'm saying you're a youngster. And Diha and Snatchy are bloody Polish.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not saying that's exactly what it is, but it just felt like one of those games where Big didn't really play up to the normal standard, and usually that happens when like the other team does something weird and things like that. So it's just, it felt like a weird game in general, where Big didn't really play the same way that they did before, even at summer, which is the surprising thing, because it's not like they just stepped into the new season on the wrong foot. They already played a tournament and won it. Sure, it was against like lower teams that they have been playing before.
Well, Heroic was the one in the grand final, so
yeah, exactly. But still, like they're obviously not shaky, or not as much as you would expect with a lot of these other teams. So I wouldn't put it to that, but like based on that one game, I didn't see the NIP one, so it's hard to say what happened there.
And I think in NIP one, maybe what I was thinking as well is that I think both times they lost in overtime. Like on
Nuke went 28-26.
Yeah, and then the Sprout game they lost overtime as well. So maybe was a little mental. How you say it? Maybe it was a little bit tough to. Maybe it was tough to come back on Mirage, because they lost this tight game really hard.
Like overtimes, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember as well they had like in one of the overtimes they threw a 5v3. I remember. So yeah, that's
not ideal. And if you have a look at the Nuke game as well, I know it is Nuke, but Sirison was the lowest frag. No, he wasn't. He was the second lowest. Santaris was the lowest with 33. But there were quite a spread here. He's down the bottom in terms of rating. And Sirison was one who I remember watching T-side Nuke running around with that fucking scout strike. I think we were talking about this quite a bit. Just like wrecking people. I don't know if it was map specific, but it's one of the maps.
It was on Nuke.
Yeah, he was just making it wild. So if he's having a bit of a sad performance, then that can explain some things. But the Sprout games, like the fact that they've qualified as one of the first 4 teams to make it into the top 4, well, the top 8, that is very surprising, right? Like, I know what Diha can do. I got to see him when he was on the Polish squads. I got to see what Snatchy can do. But Dennis and Spitty, like, they have been around now for as long as you, Crystal, obviously. And they haven't really been able to achieve too much. And here, they're pulling off these upset victories. Is this, and we'll keep present company excluded from this. Is this maybe like the German onliners coming through a little bit? What's going on there, man?
I wouldn't say it's because only German onliners, but I would say maybe the online part took a part. I would say.
Yeah.
I think everyone, especially right now online, like everyone feels more comfortable. Obviously it's just a joke, but Zen and our team always joke, yeah, imagine all these kids playing at home. Their mom will prepare the food. They just need to go wake up, shower, and there's food ready. And they're just like overreacting right now, but it's just like everyone is more comfortable at home. Like you can just chill down, sit at your computer, like you have the used like room temp the temperature of the room that you are used to. You can go outside for a walk, like you're just feeling comfortable. So if you're comfortable in real life, then it also transfers a little bit into your game. And
they're also kind of, well, they were glad to meet OG in the second round as well. I feel like if they fell on the other side of that bracket, I don't think they would be through at this point, because Navi are obviously shaky, but they're still a big team, and Complexity have obviously been doing well. So if they met one of those two, I feel like it wouldn't have gone as well for them as OG, who are obviously very, very shaky and inconsistent.
So the thing with that series, just in case everybody missed it, Sprout vs OG, it was the Group A upper bracket semi-final match to progress into the playoffs here at ESL One Cologne Online 2020. I'm not at the desk right now, Chad. Don't do that voice. But they paddled them in the 2 maps, right? In Sprout pick train, they wrecked them 16-9. They had a 10-5 T half, right? That's bananas. And then what's even more impressive, the Inferno was still close. They kept it 16-13. That's a very respectable scoreline in a loss. But then Nuke, holy shit. I was watching Nuke unfold and I was just like, okay. I made like a bit of a jokey German onliner comment. I want to make sure that I button this up for everybody. Back in the day, especially in the Source era, Germans were considered the biggest fucking onliners in the world.
1.6 as well, by the way. It didn't change much there.
Okay, 1.6 as well. They were considered quite good on the interweb. So that was a bit of a joke. Sprout have obviously been working very hard. Right? I don't want to take anything away from them because we were giving big credit in the fact that they worked hard and they became the best team in the world. So we just want to make sure that we're covering that. I don't want any nasty stuff. I'm in Germany right now. I love it here. Cologne's great. You're all beautiful. Wunderschön, all that bullshit. Anyway, Nuke with a 13-2 first half on the T side. Like, I know that a couple of people have gone and broken down some of the strategies and stuff that they were doing, but are we putting, like, how much are we putting in the Sprout hard work column? Like, I think we have to put a decent amount of stock, but how much are we also putting in the OG what the fuck is going on column? Right, Striker? Yeah, or is Prof back? Prof?
I know you, Chad, want to put a lot in the OG suck column.
I love OG. OG is my favorite team.
That's a lie. Straight up.
I liked what I saw from Sprout. Like, they played this kind of super methodical, but also annoyingly disrespectful style at the same time. And like, they're super hard on like hunting rifles. When they got like, I don't know, 2 kills or whatever, they're closing in on everything, executes on point, fakes on point, like draining out down the clock, like old school Navi, but in a good way, if that makes sense. So like, props to like the in-game leadership Speedy is calling there in that team. That looked pretty well. And then you have also OG just being like at points pretty shit, and individually some of their players just like not showing up at all. Like NBK also had a rough series, I think the last map especially. So it was just like those things compound and you have like 13-2 T side on Nuke, right?
Yeah, I just look, I've had some really bad games of Counter-Strike before, but CT-sided Nuke to only get like 2 kills on CT-sided Nuke, like, you roll the clock back a couple years. If you said that to somebody, they'd be like, what the fuck were you doing? Like, I know the map is the way that T's are able to play it now and the territory that they can take. Like, CT-sided Nuke, you should be getting a couple of freebies. Like, there's a couple of rounds where they're coming out and they're looking the wrong way, right? It's just a really, really rough showing, and I guess really positive stuff from Sprout there. I don't want to get too stuck into OG because I've done it enough, and like I said, I'm having a bad day. So if I get fired up about that, it'll just be a terrible diatribe of all my hate at life coming out. Okay.
I just, by the way, regarding that new game, from what I saw, it felt to me like OG were just caught up in rotations a lot. Like they ended up saving so many rounds from what I remember on the in like CT retake attempts because it was just already over by the time they could rotate. So I feel like that was a massive problem where they just got picked off on one side of the map and then like got out rotated.
Yeah, that happens when the guy holding the angle as CT doesn't get the kill or the double kill that you usually should. Because sometimes Prout really did play well and just put him in an uncomfortable situation. And sometimes the CT was just didn't win the aim duel, which he should, right? And I think that has been the issue for me with OG since they got this team. Like, I think it lacks firepower. And that feels when they have these kind of games.
Yep.
No, also on the T side, I remember this one round that I remembered. I watched only a little bit their T side, but they had really good like trading or like an approach when they went outside, and they gave them like little to none info if they actually went down secret. Like they used this we call it VP smokes to cross secret, but then they just boosted like really delayed on T-red. They were holding like CT spawn angle to see if any rotation is happening, and if nothing is there, then they assumed that someone from ramp rotated down. The down guy had to play like passively because the door guy pressured early, vent rotation couldn't happen, and then they just split up really, really slow, like you mentioned, like Navi style. And yeah, also a few things I saw that I didn't see before. Like at 20 seconds, they threw this Molo from T roof through the windows to backside. So the only A guy, he was like forced out in the open. Then the Heaven guy strafed with the Molo, and like was just like there was a few nice things that they actually did, and they deserved to win this rounds that they played.
Couple of nice details in there. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like when I was watching some of the videos that people were breaking down, it was cool stuff. Like it wasn't they weren't just getting gifted rounds; they were having to still work for them. So yeah, props to Sprout there, and we'll get to see them in the playoffs next week. All right, so we've got the first impressions of the new Mad Lions roster, FaZe and Astralis. Let's start with Astralis, because I think that's going to be the easiest one for us to decompile here. For those people not familiar, Zipax and Glaive are back, but they're not in the roster right now. They are still, I guess, warming into the second half of the year after their time off. But they've had Bubsky and S-Attack. Now we actually have some players in the team that kind of makes sense. And they looked really, really quite good. kRYSTAL, did you get to watch them play?
Yeah, I watched the new game. I can't recall against who it was, but I played, was it?
Vitality, I think.
Vitality, yeah. They played pretty decent, actually. I was surprised as well. Like, they had really good trades going on. They played very simple, like always this the fast outside smokes with the Molo, I think. So they could just rush down. They always forced the duel, and then they enabled the lurk, and yeah, it was just... I was surprised as well.
There was also the two new guys did really well in that game, so...
Yeah, they had like 2 or 3 rounds that they won, like I think a 2v5 anti-eco, where they got like used speed, and then they turned it around to 2v5 or something. It was...
Yeah, Bubsky's actually at the moment, now they've only played 4 maps with this team officially, but Bubsky's the highest rated player, only just. Megas is up there as well. But the roles kind of make sense with this squad, right? Striker, like this one here, you look at it and you go, yeah, this one, if they had to stick with this, you could actually see it having some longevity.
This is very playable. This is very, very playable, this constellation. That's what I was saying last episode, I don't know if it was a week ago, just before we were talking about Cologne, that this is a team that actually makes sense on paper as opposed to the one with Yugi. And yeah, it just showed. I feel like it just showed that the positions are actually quite correct in this case. Yeah, they had some like moments where you could see that they haven't had as much time as they would like with 2 new players. They probably only practiced for like a couple of weeks so far with this team. And that showed in a couple of rounds where there were just some fumbles, like even in that round where they almost got eco'd. Like that was one of those where they weren't really on the same page, and it's just some of these moments really showed. But like the individuals actually make sense. They played well, obviously, especially on the new game. The two you guys really did put up the biggest numbers. So it's like it actually looks like the team that could be at least like a top 5 on paper, even though they're missing their like 2 key pieces, obviously.
Prof, do you think, and that's if you're not lagging, I'll direct it somewhere else.
I feel like he's out, but
I think I'm here.
Okay. Okay. We turned the webcam off, so now we can talk. That's all right.
Yeah.
Prof, do you think that this speaks more about how quickly Astralis have been able to put things together, or how behind everybody else still is?
I've honestly been pretty impressed with what I saw, just like from the, I don't know, 2 maps I think maybe that I watched of Astralis, like that the team play. I feel like it shouldn't be that good, and the utility usage shouldn't be that good for a team that literally, from what I know, they weren't practicing before the break. It's just literally maybe the last 2 weeks or something. So I think it's just them being all ahead of the curve and doing things in a way that is better or more productive than other teams. I don't think other teams are that bad, because everyone is trying very hard with a lot of different things, adding in psychologists and like 3 coaches, analysts, whatever. So I don't think everyone else can be that bad, because other teams are playing good CS as well. It's just Astralis being Astralis once again. Annoying stuff to watch almost. You can feel it coming. You can feel it coming again, the Astralis here. You can just see it from like 2 maps.
I'm fine with it. Let it happen. Let it happen. And hopefully they push it a little bit further. But what do you think this means, Striker, for the likes of more Zipex than kRYSTAL? Sorry, not kRYSTAL, then Glaive. Fucking hell, too many in-game leaders around. What do you think this means more for like Zipex and Glaive, with if these 2 guys? Now, I think Glaive is always most likely to come back, but Zipex, he's had his head on the chopping block in the past. Let's say Bubsky's just a fucking beast, and they transition somebody else into more of a clutchy type role, or an anchor type role that Zipex was. Actually, Bubsky was playing the inner anchor, wasn't he, on Train?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So, like, do you think there might be a couple of warning bells going off?
Like, sure, that they are probably not like 100% happy that this team is doing so well, just because there's the possibility that they could come into the team on a permanent basis. But obviously, like, this is so mega early to even try to entertain these ideas, just because the original 5 just proved us so many times that they can be the best team in the world. They are basically the best team of all time. So it's like to expect either of them to be on the chopping block anytime soon, unless they just start struggling when they come back or something, and they're not in the greatest shape. Like, there's no way that's going to happen until we see like some real problems in the original team.
Yeah, and I think if we assume that the major is going to happen, or even if it gets postponed to next year or whatever, they'll still have to keep running RMR events, right, to keep it the most relevant results going. They will just use their major 5 for those events. So I feel like they're going to get another crack at it, another shot at it. So all things seeming pretty good for Astralis. We won't get too bogged down right there in the Astralis stuff. But the next one that we can talk about is FaZe with Kjaerbye. kRYSTAL, did you catch their games?
Yeah, I watched them.
What did you make of that addition? Because look, when this first happened, and I saw people tweeting like, "Oh yeah, the roles, it's gonna be good." Da, da, da. I thought to myself, I was like, "Who the fuck are you guys? What are you talking? Do you guys watch the same Kjaerbye as me? Like, what do you think about Kjaerbye now doing an anchor role?"
Yeah, I agree. I was there's also what we were talking about this in my team a lot. Like, I also don't understand why FaZe is constantly like. I mean, they're trying new players. They keeping the same core, which is okay, but they are never like trying to shift the positions. I mean, you have a team full of star players, but no one is willing to do the supportive role, or like trying to wait. There's a fly in my fucking face. Sorry. They are never like trying to like. Yeah, I mean, Kjaerbye is not playing the role he should be playing now. He's I think he was lurking T side, anchoring on.
He was playing inner Train for the first time ever.
Yeah, and I think Kjaerbye shouldn't be lurking. I think this is just a wasted role on him. And then I'm wondering, why are they getting him if they want him to lurk? This is like.
I simply think there was no real other option.
Yeah, this is what I personally don't like. Like I mentioned before, I would put the team together, or when I'm calling, I would put everyone's players' abilities the way that they can shine, and then but I think Nico is still calling, right? Yeah. So, but Nico isn't that type of player who would put himself below, I would say.
No, and what I predicted also didn't work out. Yeah. Sorry.
So no, it's fine. But that's just my point of view, and this is just what goes against my CS philosophy, that they're basically taking new players, putting them into the same roles, into other shoes, and expecting different results, which is not working out in my eyes.
So it's obviously way too early, but your gut feeling is that it's probably not going to be hugely successful?
maybe, who knows? I don't know,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I just don't like the general concept that they just take new players into the same old roles,
Yeah.
So tell
especially
me,
if they are not designed for this role. This is what I don't like.
so tell me if there were like they had an unlimited buyout, just like a blank check, and they could get any player instead of Kjaerbye when they signed Kjaerbye. They could get any player out of any team. Who do you think they should have picked up?
This is
Or
a
like
good-
maybe
this
2
is a
3
good
players
question.
that fit the role like well.
I mean, I was always not even a joke, but we said in the team if they would, for example, like it would be a big contrast. But we always said in the team if they would have gotten HUNDEN, for example, as a caller, they would have probably played 10 times better than they're doing now, in my
Oh
eyes.
wow. Okay.
But it's more like I don't want to flame them too much or something, or like this is just my opinion, and I'm sorry if goes against some
Mate, that's
others.
literally
But
my job. Say whatever you want.
yeah, but for example, when I watch demos or I watch teams, like FaZe is probably the last team that I would watch for like some inspiration. Like they're being very like one-dimensional. It's not that many new things. They're playing within the meta. They're doing what everyone is doing. They're just hitting good shots. That's FaZe in my eyes.
I mean, they've
So
always been that.
yeah, so yeah, they are like the opposite of what I said before. What Big was before. Like Big was too structured and FaZe is too hardcore hitting in my eyes. And they need some sort of I don't know, better structure in my eyes. And I don't think this whole always changing a player, putting him in the same roles is not a good approach in my eyes.
So, like, if we were to think if they, because you were saying if they got HUNDEN like as a player
Yeah.
in that team, they would obviously have to change everything, and their approach to it. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to give away here, but let's say not HUNDEN. Let's say you went into that team and you were the in-game leader, and you you knew the players for how they are right now. How would you try and make things work within that squad? What would you what kind of?
Okay, this is tough because I know some players have a big ego and I don't like that too much. So
Okay.
I would probably have a rough time there as well. And I also know that I can only be as good as I'm right now because of the teammates I have. In
Okay.
another team, maybe it would be completely different. Like I can, to a certain point, adapt to my teammates and make them probably play better. But for example, in my team, I have Devilwalk as well, who enables me to call better and play better. So this is just what I feel like FaZe is missing, someone that sacrifices them for a team. They don't have that. And if you have 5-star players, just by logic, I mean, everyone in the high tier CS level understands some certain logic, like playing trades, playing spacing, pop flashing for each other, covering crossfires, whatever. It's just logical that if you have 5-star players, that someone has to have a role that is like shit, and someone has to like sacrifice them for the team. But they are constantly do what I just explained. They are not doing that, and I don't know who of them, which ego of what player would be sacrificing for the team, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't see Niku stepping down from his like desired roles. I don't see Cole doing that. I think Rain already is like doing just his job, just a solid rifler. So yeah, I don't know.
Rain has historically been the one who was kind of moved around and been very versatile with
I
his
agree.
roles. So,
Yeah.
but he's
But
the
he
one,
also,
you're right, he's the only one.
Yeah, he's also not the full support player. I mean, obviously,
He entry frags T sides.
Yeah.
So look,
I don't know what I would do if I would play with them. I actually don't even want to find out.
all right.
But it sounds bad, but it sounds like it sounds like really hard.
Come on, if you were a
But,
free agent, you would have accepted a call from FaZe though.
We'll take the contract off the
Probably,
table,
but,
mate. Well,
no, but
I was ready to get you to sign, but all right, fuck.
No, but it's also really tough. Like, imagine you join a team like FaZe, and you know what they have been struggling before. Like, imagine the immense pressure you will have if you join them. Like, and then there are not only the things that you need to like put pressure on yourself doing it, but then there are also like expectations of your teammates. Like, I don't know them too much and too personal, like how they are like within the team, how they are behaving towards each other. But I think everyone has like a certain view of each other. Like we see like the streams and the highlights, or like the rages at LAN, stuff like this. But yeah, I don't know. This is just my opinion. I hope I didn't say anything too bad, but
You're fine. You're fine. You don't
I do think that Kjaerbye is on the clock though, because
yeah.
like the more if he doesn't start feeling comfortable, at some point he's just gonna be frustrated with the role, and changes are gonna have to come either through actual player changes or the roles are gonna move around, positions are gonna move around. So yeah, and I'm like people
Yeah,
reinventing
maybe.
themselves. That's very, very rare for that to be successful, especially in this like hardcore way, because he's always been kind of more of a like an entry fragger type, or like pretty in front of the team. While this time he's like lurking, has to learn an entirely new trait,
That-
anchoring sites. You know, it's entirely different.
Like
Like
they
he has
put
to
him
be
into Olaf's
passive.
roles, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mostly
This-
those roles.
This is what I theorized. I either did it live on air or I did it before we were getting back on air. I don't know. I'd say so much shit that I don't know what's going out to people in the real world and what I'm just saying to Lauren and Alex. But I said that I think if it doesn't work out in like a couple of months, maybe less, that what's going to happen is Rain's going to take all of the roles that Kjaerbye has. Kjaerbye's going to get given Rain's positions, being an entry fragger and like middle of the pack rifler, and it's just going to get turned that way. And then Rain's going to be the one who has to, because you're right, there's no one else on the team who can sacrifice any space. Because Nico and Cold, look, here's one thing that kind of bothered me. Like Cold has been playing Ivy the same way for 4 years,
4 years.
right? And I'm watching this round. I'm watching Fallen just coming down Ivy with the AWP. Like, look, I can imagine that Fallen's like, I know exactly where this motherfucker's going to be. He's going to be backtracked. He's going to be holding the gap, and I'm going to swing out and I'm going to kill him. And that's what Fallen did. And I went, well, I didn't say it, but I thought to myself, that's just a free kill. Like, everybody knows that he does that, right? But a lot of the time he still gets away with it. But Fallen was able to punish him for it at least once or twice, I think, in that game. And I think Cold is such a good player, right? And he has such a good work ethic that he could be the type of guy in the team who can go from, because he's an Ivy anchor. He's not an Ivy aggressive player, right? He's not dropping the deep smoke, putting the molly down, making sure they can't get to the bin and controlling off and playing up close, getting boosted on the server, taking a lot of jewels. He will allow them to have that area once he gets pressured, and he'll drop back and be more passive in that spot. And that's obviously, we know that he's always been more of that type of a player, but he could do a similar role, but be the inside anchor. And then you could have somebody else to fill up that. You could have 2 AWPers on your yard. Obviously, you got Brokey doing it. Nico could now play back 6, swing Ivy with the AWP. You can play Kjaerbye and Rain forward as your duo with the rifles right there, shutting down T-Main, shutting down Pop Dog. Like, I can make it work. I can jig it around. But I think it goes back to what Krystal was saying, and that's people having to be able to swallow their pride a little bit and go, yeah, this isn't my spot anymore. I need to try a new position. Because for how long can you keep doing the same thing? I was really excited by FaZe at the start of the year, to be honest. I liked the fact that they'd brought in a lot of strategy. I think Yanko had helped them with a lot of set pieces to give them room, and then the stars were able to shine when they got room. But complexity kind of unraveled all that. And when we had Blame on, I think he was talking about the way that they were counter-strating their stuff. There's even Poison sitting in warehouse on Nuke, spamming Nico through the, or was it Rain, through the box with the AWP and Yard, because they know the timings, they're lining up their smokes and shit. There's just all those little details, and it's such a shame, a team that has a lot of firepower and a lot of experience, that they are struggling. And they've had all these like Olaf going, and then they had BMAS come in, and now they've got Kjaerbye there, and there's no real in-game leaders who are available unless your organization wants to drop like, I don't know, let's assume that this Alex buyout is probably more than $500,000.
It
right?
was like 600,000, I think was the report. I'm pretty sure.
So then who else are you going to go to for an in-game leader? So there's like all of these questions around it. And also, I don't know if Alex would like fit in with a big ego team, because Alex always, when the interviews with him, he's quite softly spoken. He's not necessarily the big, boisterous type of guy. So I'm not quite sure.
Well, I feel like
Alex
it's
had issues like battling with NBK for like the throne in that team. So like replace NBK with like Nico and Coldzera. I think that's a higher level after all, just like in terms of their approach to not the ego but the alpha mentality of the team or something.
Are you saying that he'd have a harder time?
I'd say he'd have a harder time in FaZe, yeah.
Okay. Striker, do you reckon that'd be the case? Or you reckon you could
I
make it
wouldn't
work?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but at the same time I feel like Nico like is getting to a point where he's a little bit desperate about the role. Like at the start of the year when he did that top 20 interview, when he was like, okay, now I'm committed to being the best in-game leader in the world, I feel like that's kind of dwindling now, and he's getting back to a point where like if there was an in-game leader, he'd take it. But obviously, especially like if they were looking for Alex, that's definitely the thinking. Like they still are aiming to get an in-game leader if they can, or were at least until they got Kjaerbye now. They just weren't able to, right? So yeah, at this point I feel like since he's probably at a point where he's just fed up with it and it's not working for some reason, that he'd be okay with somebody else coming in and just like letting him do whatever he likes.
Okay, so one last little bit of context here, I suppose, before we start talking about Mad Lions, is the fact that Kjaerbye was like on vacation when they added him to the team, so they have only really played for like a week together, and Kjaerbye has only been playing these roles in the officials that we've seen and in a very small amount of practice. So if we're going to be fair,
and Kjaerbye was also on a break before that for like 2 months not playing, so he literally didn't play the game for like 3 months.
So if Kjaerbye, I think, can within a 1 to 2 month span be able to fit into that role quite nicely, and then FaZe are able to throw a bit more into the mixing pot, then obviously they have the firepower to be a very competitive team, right? So I think we can pin that one, we can leave that one there, and we can talk about Mad Lions. Now they played 2 games with Innocent now, 2 officials with Innocent in Cologne. Or no, it's only
they
one.
They played something before as well.
No, they did play 2. They did play 2. They lost to Complexity, and they beat Mouse Sports. They embarrassed Mouse Sports, actually. That Vertigo game and that Nuke game were both single-digit romps. They were just like absolute maulings. But who did we have on the show, Prof, who was saying that Shush would have to do more? Who was that?
Wasn't that Striker, literally?
Was it Striker?
No. Sorry, was it me actually? No. Somebody else.
Maybe
but you're right.
Then.
I think it might have been Blame F actually. I don't remember, but somebody said it.
Yeah, it says Shush would have to step up more, and in that series there, he had a 1.81 rating. So I know it's against Mouse Sports who are struggling, but that's fucking huge, right? Because before it was all A-Core and all Bubsky.
I mean, Shush had his moments. He has had his series where he takes over games as well. It's not like he's been taking back seats all the time. So I feel like we've always seen that potential. It's just he's never been in the like you say, A-Core's always been at the forefront and. With Bubsky, and only now is he getting the chance to be there a little bit more.
So looking at their next game, it will be against OG. Prof, do you consider that like because I think you and I are in the same place with OG. We think they're a team that lacks firepower. Do we look at that as a game that Mad Lions are 70-30 favorites, 60-40 favorites? Like, are they the heavy favorite? What do you think going into that matchup?
Ironically, I think they are just being them being the favorite is kind of weird, just because they're a new team. But in my opinion, they are maybe like a 60-40, 65, maybe max. Let's not go too far. But it looks actually good. Like the Innocent pickup, he kind of fits in the roles that they needed. Obviously, probably not as good as Bubsky, not the potential to develop that the Bubsky has, but fits in kind of okay. So
experienced.
Yeah, experience as well, like 26, 27. Also, kRYSTAL's former teammate, right? So I don't know how much you know about him. What did you think when you saw that signing?
I was just confused that they would take in account to not talk Danish anymore. That was
they
the biggest
already
question
have a Brazilian
mark.
coach.
Yeah, but okay, maybe. But I don't know how much impact he has with the IGL or how much he does in general. But overall, in game, they couldn't they need to talk English now. So that was the only question mark for me. Like I know his name is Pavel, so it was Pavel.
Yep.
He's as well like a solid player, but he's not that superstar player. That's why I was questioned by the decision by them to take him and take into account to talk English. But he's a good, solid player. He does his job. He isn't a raging player. He's
I'm pretty sure
solid,
they already
solid
talked
rifler.
English for a lot of the time before.
Okay, I didn't know
just
that.
because of Peacemaker.
No. They would speak in Danish, and then they would.
That was
do
the
like
last
their
info, but that's a long time since we asked about that, and I feel like they transitioned more into English. But I might be wrong about this, but I feel like I heard something like that.
It was something like they sometimes do freeze time calls in English or something like that.
Yeah.
So Peacemaker can understand like the general idea of the round, but like in the live round they didn't want to like sacrifice the speed of the communication, so they spoke Danish. So then at the same time, like as a coach, he understands obviously some Danish by now because he coached like Heroic before, and so he knows something but not enough to really understand why people did something, and so much is going on at the same time. So when they actually started speaking English, that is something that he probably wanted. Maybe he pushed for the international route as well. I don't know really.
It's also that the Danish talent has kind of been also taken at this point. Like Bubsky, obviously he had to leave or for whatever reason. And then who do you look to afterwards, right? You'd have to go pretty low in the Danish scene at this point.
Yeah, and I also think if there's 1 or 2 nationalities who would have absolutely no dramas or should have no issues in speaking English, it would probably be the Danes and the Swedes, right? Like, I'm spent a lot of time in both of those countries, and I've never gone into a place and ever had to try and speak their languages. They just look at me and just start instantly speaking fluent English like there's no problem. So
Yeah, they could be fucking 70 years old. It doesn't matter. They
Yeah.
still speak English.
which is fantastic. A big thank you to the Nordics for making up for dumb cunts like me who can't speak anything else other than a little bit of shitty German that I used to get me out of some bad situations and to yell at the drunk people on the street. Just hit him with a halt the Fresse, Junge, and then you're done. See, Crystal laughed. Everyone
I
else.
got,
should
I
laugh.
got
There
it.
we
I got
go.
it too.
So Crystal,
I was reading chat, more important than whatever you were saying at the time.
I want to let everyone know that I'm no longer a sports mode user. I now patrol the forums to make sure that you're all staying sane. Right? I want to make sure that you're all staying sane out there on HLTV.org. But
Do you respond? Do you actually respond to people?
on the forums?
Yeah.
No, not anymore. No, like after my little like Zen moment, I did a lot of meditation. I really went deep, and I looked at all the things that were wrong with me, and I tried to fix my brain and stuff. I've realized that I don't know why I ever cared what people's opinions were of me. Like, I have no idea why I ever cared. But I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Mad Lions is a team for you, Crystal, when you play against them. How do you kind of categorize them? Do you think you were talking before about like a balance of like having the strats and then having the randomness? Like, where do they fit into that model?
I think they are within this balance. I think they are neither super strategical,
that's the one.
and they are not super hardcore YOLO playing ST either. So I think they have a good balance.
Okay, so
I think
that's
Bubsky was a lot of
yeah.
the chaos. There
Yeah,
was
he
a lot
was
of
the-
that chaos in, so
yeah.
I'm not sure how it works now.
I haven't actually watched the games of them beating Mousesports or the other game, but before at least I thought it was a good mixture of both.
Don't watch those games if you. It's really not.
The
worth
one
it.
thing that I was impressed by is how well Innocent has been doing individually. Is because he had like a rough game to start against Heroic. I feel like, from what I remember, because I watched that one.
Which position is he playing on Nuke? I didn't see it.
I
remember
don't know. I don't think I saw the Nuke games.
No.
I can quickly cheat, but I'll tell you.
I think it's inner, somewhere inner or
top
like
side.
rotation inner.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, top side actually.
Okay, well, I think we've almost exhausted the Mad Lions conversation. Let's quickly put a bow on. Is there anything else that happened in the European region that we want to talk about here? I don't think there's too much more.
Like we are already way behind on schedule anyway. So
That's all right. We always end up behind. There's the rush around here. We touched on the Sprout one. Complexity still looking good. Navi with the wobbles. NIP with a shit start, but then they looked good against Big. Mousesports are out. Fnatic online
Fnatic had a rough start, but then against Astralis, but then they did pretty okay against Heretics.
Yeah, that was a 2-1. G2 looked really good against MIBR. Had some struggles against Heroic, and then finally
that was a good game.
That was a good game. I haven't been doing all the European ones, so I haven't had the opportunity to watch everything. I'm going back and rewatching stuff this evening. But the North American side, I think we can just quickly dip into. I have watched all the North American games. I was tasked with the North American schedule for the week just gone. So, look, I can summarize this for everybody real quick, and then we can jump into the ones that we want to touch into more. Genji, hard group, shit end of the stick. Automatic on the AWP when he's not finding impact. The team really quite struggling there. Furia, they same thing. Furia hasn't changed. Same team, aggressive, doing all this. Everybody seems to still be on point. Everyone's smiling. They're having a good time in Furia. 100 Thieves had a freebie against Chaos. And no disrespect to Chaos, I think they're playing a very nice style of Counter-Strike at the moment. So if you actually want some interesting games, people at home to go and watch Chaos' series against Furia and 100 Thieves. They played really fast, disruptive CS. Like off the bat, every round, spawn-based CS that was just really quick and in the face. That's Group A. So Chaos are already in the playoffs. Next week, we're going to see 100 Thieves taking on Furia for the second spot from Group A. EG continuing to look good. I was impressed with Ethan. Cloud9 last night, maybe underestimating Triumph a little bit. So we'll have the rematch between Cloud9 and Liquid going down next week as well. Cloud9, I think Liquid, I think there's bigger issues going on. Even though I know they've just changed some things, but Elige isn't like superstar Elige at the moment for some reason. I don't know if you guys watched any of the games. It was quite late.
I actually saw him like whiff once.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know either. Maybe just like coming back from vacation, not in shape fully yet. I don't know.
Maybe Stewie's calling's a bit more sporadic than how it was before. You know, it's normally a bit more systematic. Fuck it, let's not get stuck into North American stuff. There's nothing to really talk about. Triumph and Genji are out. We're going to lose 2 more teams next week. The ones that we expect are going to be in the playoffs. And guess what? If you don't watch it this week, you can watch it for Pro League. It's the exact same 8 teams, and they're going to keep doing it for
Plus MIBR, like not
no MIBR. Don't worry, we don't have to worry about MIBR anymore. We only have to worry about the best Brazilian team in the world of Furia. So it's all good. All right, this is the one we wanted to talk about here. So let's talk about this one. We're going to go to the top 3 because this one here is going to be quite interesting. It might push us a little bit over schedule. So if you have to go Crystal, let us know and we'll close it down. But this last one to round out the show, how did we make 3 topics last 2 hours? That's fucking insane. To round out the show here with the top 3, what these are like gameplay changes to improve CSGO. So there was a tweet that came out the other day from Devil Walk, Crystal, saying that your team was discussing the idea of I think it was right clicks make no noise.
No, right clicks.
The other way.
Noise, because it would be too OP if you just sit in the smoke and then there basically comes a pop flash into the smoke and you can't hear it. And then
okay, so left clicks make no noise, right clicks make the noise, right? Is that what we were? Where we were
yeah, that was what. Yeah, Devil Walk suggested it, and it makes more sense in my eyes. Actually, you would be able to sell fakes easier. You cannot like before you had to like body fake more.
Yeah.
And I mean, you still need to do, but if you would be able to throw left clicks without noise, then you can just throw one flashbang, for example, Inferno over B at 30 seconds, and maybe that pulls the second B guy back to B, and then you need to be way more like precise with the infos, and it would change a little bit. Definitely.
Okay, so that's kind of the direction that we're going here. So you're probably the man to start this conversation for us, Crystal, and then we'll jump on. Is there anything else in Counter-Strike, like any mechanic with like, let's say the bomb or the way that utility works or anything like that, that even like the pricing of say like a diffuse kit, is there anything like that in your mind that you think could use like a tweak or an adjustment?
Actually, a few things that I theory craft sometimes. So one thing that I don't like is that, I mean, everyone hates it when the Molotovs, when they're like you throw the exact same Molotov every time, and then this one time it doesn't burn in the corner. You clear, for example, Inferno Banana, the deep left corner. Yeah, it's clear. You go back, and then there's a guy that just swings and kills the AWPer who was holding the solo B push, and then the round is basically fucked. So this, and that it spreads in the last 2 seconds. Like, I hate this. Like, when you're sitting in a corner, the Molotov is in front of you, you pull the smoke, you wait like a few seconds, okay, it's fine, then you pull to the rifle, and then you're burning down for 40 seconds, 40 damage. I hate this so much. So this...
Keep going, sorry. I mean? Yeah.
This, then sometimes there's still this bug with the smoke that it doesn't extinguish, or it extinguishes, but you run through and there are still flames on the other side of it. I died like this a few times already.
Inferno Banana. Happens all the time.
Yeah, for example. Or overpass, be short, or wherever.
So so consistency of the Molotov is what you'd want to tweak, right?
Yeah, and that it, like just that it's every time that you throw it, it spreads the same way, not that it's random. Like sometimes it burns the corner, sometimes it doesn't. Like it shouldn't be inconsistent in my eyes. I don't like it.
Okay, so I guess that's like I don't even know how they'd fix that. I
don't know either.
That kind of shit, I'm not quite certain on, from a Valve perspective or a coding perspective.
It's just you could make the spread a little bit more consistent. You know, not have it like semi-random.
Maybe someone should investigate. We get like a 3 clicks Philip or something on there, like throwing the same Molotov like 10 times and seeing if it spreads consistently, like let's say 1 every 3 times or some shit. Because I don't know. Like I truly don't know exactly how that kind of shit works right there. But so what you're saying is you want it to spread more consistently, but would you want it to, from that part you were saying about the last ticks, like how it spreads at the last minute?
They should remove this. This is like, I don't like this.
You want it to just land and then it burns the whole time?
Yeah, just for the 7 seconds, 7.5, whatever it is, it just burns and it doesn't like change while it's burning, like the area of effect. Like, I don't understand why this is a thing. Anyways, like, this is how also...
Makes sense.
Like it's always the last 2 seconds, then it suddenly shifts into whatever directions, and you sometimes burn and you lose a few HP, or you reveal your position, or whatever it is.
Especially because the last ticks are the most deadly, because they do more damage the longer the Molotov goes on. So the last 2 ticks are like 30 damage, and the first 7 ticks are 20 damage. Or something
guys,
like that.
That's why when you're rushing somewhere, and if you're like the first 2 guys and the mollies just drop, run through the molly. Don't be that fucking guy. I used to hate that. Don't
Who
be that
just
guy.
stops?
And now you
Yeah.
don't hate. Now you're fine. Now you're support
Dude,
those guys.
I play Danger Zone now, so it's all good for me. You know, I just watch the Counter-Strike and play Danger Zone. That's how I get my fix. Otherwise, the amount of time I'd have to put in CS to actually make myself feel like it was worthwhile with like all the fuck, I don't have enough hours in a day. Jesus. All right, so that's one for the list. We've got the grenade sounds as well. Strike, you got anything on the top of your head that's sticking out?
Well, until recently, it was a lot about the HEs and the consistency as well, where
Okay.
like sometimes it lands just above a step, and it just doesn't do damage to somebody who's right behind for no apparent reason. They've done something to fix that. I feel like
There's still
helped.
occasions where
they've
it fucks up.
they've helped along with that, but in general, just like obviously, I wouldn't want it to be the same way as in 1.6, where you could like throw a
Flash
nade just right
damage.
next to a wall. And like somebody behind the wall would get full damage from it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't want it to be that way, but I feel like some of these like just behind the corner and stuff like that should still do some damage, but it's fairly minimal, to be honest. Like it's not a big issue for me.
That's a pretty light one, so
Yeah.
we can still whack it on the list right there because it's something which consistency of the grenades is quite an important thing. And when we see, like, even when we're casting, we see this nade, it's like landing, it's gonna land at someone's feet, and then something tiny gets in the way. It's like, oh, actually, didn't do any damage, or it didn't do as much damage as it should have.
I mean,
it's a
in
classic
general,
caster curse. Like, oh, this nade is gonna destroy him. 10
2
HP.
HP.
Okay.
Yeah. It's generally just grenade inconsistencies. I feel like we can throw that all into one bunch, just because smokes are also like weird with if you're standing in it and if you're standing just outside of it, like who sees who first and stuff like that. It's very weird and sometimes doesn't make any real sense. So it's just like some of those things I feel like can all be bunched up into one thing where they could just be a little bit more
the
consistent.
smoke thing, from what I saw, it's something that can't be fixed unless they literally redo the whole smokes and the way they work, which probably won't happen until like a Source 2 or something like that. It's just the way they bloom and disappear.
Engine specific, right?
Yeah, as engine specific, it's not really same when you're in the smoke and when you're watching the smoke, and that's why people are doing the thing where they just sit in a smoke, wait for it to dissipate, and while it's dissipating, you in the smoke see the guy before he sees you. And just how the engine works. And unfortunately, it seems like it's very difficult to fix from what I saw. And same with the double smoke, when you throw like 2 smokes or a smoke and a molly,
the occlusion
is
right?
behind the smoke. Yeah, and then you just like see perfectly clear the outline of the guy, and that happens for you, and the other guy doesn't see you, and you're just fucked if you're seen.
Yeah.
How often does that one happen these days, Crystal? Is it like once every like 10 games?
Yeah, it's really rarely. It happened on Nuke last time for me on Door when I was CT. Like we just re-smoked Door, and then I saw the occlusion of the T sneaking from left to right, and I killed him. And yeah.
See, some of those elements there, look, I don't love it because it takes away consistencies. So from like a purist and like a player standpoint, you don't have that guarantee every single time. But look, we're not playing chess, so I understand that like a couple of random elements, just for everybody at home, like aren't necessarily the worst thing. But if they stop you from winning a game, for example, then that's when we really would come into some problems, right?
I think it's like most pros now know that when 2 smokes pop like that there is a possibility that shit like that can happen, so you just avoid it. But it's the thing that you mentioned, it's not consistent. Sometimes it can happen, sometimes it doesn't happen. So it's
I don't think there are too many random things anymore. Like I think they fixed this train on overpass where you would like take a pause and freeze time that it would delay when it's like crossing. I think they fixed that. I don't know actually about the chickens on Inferno. Are they still blocking the door? If yes, this is something that should be fixed.
I haven't seen it happen in a while. So
I just remember the Rob's clip where he died opening the door. Yeah,
that was pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah. So this
sucks though.
What about like the Glock burst fire?
Yeah, this is useless. Like the
same as
FAMAS
FAMAS.
burst.
Yeah, same as FAMAS.
So like slight buffs to those.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the clock bursts just that make it viable while jumping. This was the whole gimmick in the other games. But jump with it.
Yeah.
So that's an easy. That seems like it should be. Well, I don't know if it's an easy fix, but that seems like something that easy to like note and give the weapon more value. I don't know if you guys saw. If you didn't see it, go watch the T-sided pistol round from Heroic on Nuke. It's the most ridiculous shit I've seen in a while. Right? They have their first spawn basically just hopping right. Back turn, like constantly just moving his mouse and looking down and shit as the entry fragger. He's not even looking for the frag. And then once they get the kill and they get ramp control, they do it and they do it again ladder base. So they're going around ladder base. And then the guy bottom ladders like shooting at this guy. It was ridiculous. I was like, what the fuck?
I saw this on Dust 2 before on a B rush where the first guy just backwards bunny hops like towards car.
I was like geeky heroic kids. I was like, you nerds. But it's great to see like people are using those. That there. I don't know how you fix that. I don't know if
No,
you
I
can.
mean you just don't see the head really. It's
Yeah. Well, it used to be that in 1.6 when you'd hold like lines, what you'd do is you would turn your model down into the ground so you could still see like a slither, but they couldn't see your head and you could see, what was coming. So I guess it's always existed and it's just kind of abusing the way that the models are.
I think
FAMAS want to make it more viable for sure.
Yeah, I think they buffed it recently. I think the Gala and the FAMAS.
Yeah,
I think
it hasn't
but
made much of a change, to be honest.
no,
Though,
I think
from
the
what I saw.
FAMAS spray pattern is so bad. It's super random. It's like an MP. It's like worse.
Okay.
I think even the MP9 or Mac 10 have better spray pattern than the FAMAS. I think. At least for me, it feels like it. I play a lot of MP, so no. But the FAMAS is really bad.
Yeah, everything about it is like there's
Yeah.
no good side to the FAMAS.
No,
That's
I
the
think-
thing. Like,
Also, when are you buying it? Like, actually, the MP9 full utility is more valuable on the most maps than FAMAS utility, so it doesn't matter anyways. The only time where, for example, I bought it was like Mirage window because you have this range and you just tap and not spray. But other than that, there's very rare occasions where FAMAS helmet and smoke is more viable than MP9 full utility.
or M4 no helmet.
Yeah, or this, yeah. Yeah, other than that, I think the revolver is should get some rework. I don't know.
Okay.
If they're gonna use it ever, because no one is using it. I think
With
JW used it once. Yeah, that's it.
We made a whole storyline about JW and the bloody revolver. It was our entertainment. Now the revolver. I don't even know how you could make it.
I would just remove
viable.
this. Just remove this delay when you shoot. Make it just 4 bullets only, because it's basically like a scout, and then you have like a
Sure.
4-bullet scout. I don't know.
Oh,
I like that it's gimmicky. Like, fuck it, we don't have to use every single weapon
Yeah,
that's in the
maybe.
game like properly.
Same like the
Just have it
P90.
for fun,
Yeah,
It-
P90 is also not gonna get used anyway.
Eventually, knowing Valve, because they will make it viable at some point, right? Like I think that's with the economy changes, with the weapon changes, that's like our changing of like a hero or a champion in like a MOBA or some shit,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I think eventually that'll probably have some change. One that I always was curious about, one that Gomez, the manager of 100 Thieves, and I used to be Vox Seminole, used to be Renegades, has spoken about in the past, is like the way that the bomb drops. So we obviously see the worst one is when you
That
get
pisses
killed.
me off so much.
Yeah, when you're crossing cat and it drops into CT spawn.
Inferno City spawn.
Why
Always
doesn't
is,
it just? Why would it be such a problem if when you die the bomb just drops at your feet, like where you like?
No, I think it's good like this. If it would be like this, I think it's good.
Because I'm trying to think, what are the benefits of the way it works now? Is it you die in the direction of where you got shot, or you die, or the bomb drops in the direction of where you were getting shot from, or where you were facing?
Where you're facing.
Where you're facing, yeah. That's why it drops to where you die. Like, and on Inferno, it happened so often before that's why we also changed it. Like before, I had the bomb on Inferno T side when we entered B, and we smoked CT, we smoked coffins, and then as the first guy, I jump across pool, and I'm jumping and I'm specking if he's boosted CT, and then I get shot from triple or something, and it drops into the smoke, and then it's just retarded.
GG.
Okay, so that one there seems like a pretty high priority one.
Like weapons drop where you die, more or less. Like the M4 when you die doesn't like fly forward because you're looking forward. So why does the C4 do that? It doesn't make any sense. It's not even consistent within the game. And the randomness factor is, as you know, like C4 dropping down on CT spawn, on Dust 2, or like on Mirage, it sometimes like it lands on top of double box, a triple box. How did it end up there? No one knows. Now you try and like a 1v1 go for the bomb, like climb up there. Or on Inferno, when it ends up on the fucking like the roof on short, somehow ends up there. GG boys.
You jump the corners first with bomb, you die, and the bomb is on top.
Well, that feels like an easy one we should be able to sell, right? That one there feels like if it was at the top of our list and we were able to get some players and traction behind it, that one to get the bomb change should be like the reason to have it just drop at your feet. Or sorry, the reason to have it drop forward, there's no reason, right? I can't think of one that makes sense, especially if we're saying that the weapons drop at the feet. So wouldn't we just want it to mimic what happens there? Unless they're looking at it like, well, if you're taking the risk and you like you have to think about these things from a Valve perspective. So you got to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, actually, there's like when I was on server with I don't know who it was, maybe Stuko or Marden, we actually found out. Maybe someone will do a video about it now, but I was too lazy to make one because it's useless, unfortunately. But on Vertigo, if you drop the bomb out of the map, it gets like back up where you dropped it, right?
Yeah.
And we tested it because I don't know why, we just tested some random things in the server, and we tried to. So we were B lobby. I had the bomb, and I climbed on my teammate's back, and we crouch walked all the way back to T spawn to A. And then I tested to drop it into the vent there, and it spawns back at B where you were on your teammate.
Oh shit.
And
Just because you didn't touch the ground, you were on the teammate.
Yeah, and we tried to
register.
make it that we wanted to. I was thinking about the idea, like showing the bomb at like 20 seconds on A at like the fork area, like.
Oh shit.
And then drop it into
it.
there, and then 4 people run up B with bomb, but it doesn't work unfortunately. But you cannot use it because you need to be able to see the bomb somewhere to make them rotate. And if it's like 15 seconds, they would say, yeah, 15 seconds, bomb is B. Then they would.
You can't drop it off anywhere. Okay.
Yeah. And you cannot, and as well because of the bridge, you cannot crouch on top of each other over. You're too high. That's the problem.
Okay.
But with this, you can test it. Like you can just go T-spawn and jump on your mate and walk around the railing and drop it out there, and it will go back to the other corner.
Well, that's pretty funny. It's unfortunate it didn't work. That would have been sick.
Else we would have used it already.
Holy shit.
That would have been like Fnatic overpass all over again. You know, people just getting mega mad about it.
What do we think about something like when you die? Obviously, the grenade only one grenade drops from having all the grenades. What if, like, let's say that I was fully bought and I was stupid enough to go aggressive and I died? Should all of my grenades drop? Like, why is it only one?
Actually, I don't know if other people do it, but I actually do it. I take an account that I equip my smoke as the last used nade because I don't know actually. There was like a order of what drops first, right? I think the most expensive drops first, or the last used. I don't know.
First it was most expensive, but then they changed.
But now it's last
to be
used,
the
right?
last.
Yeah,
last
that's
used,
why I always equip my smoke last when I entry somewhere and I have a smoke left or something. But I don't know if other people do it. Maybe some people don't even know it.
Do we? What do we think that it should just like? My reason is, why is it only one grenade? Like that's my thought. Is that if you're dead?
I think the problem is there would be. I mean, obviously, like it's something that you can use to your advantage, but I feel like there would be too many grenades on one side if that happened. You know, like it would be too OP basically if like a CT got a hold of another smoke and another molly. Like it would be obviously as a terrorist, you kind of have to take that into consideration. You know, not die in a bad spot where CTs can pick up your shit. But still, it would be pretty crazy if like you died in front somewhere and CTs got a hold of an entirely new set of smokes and mollies and just delayed for another 30 seconds. You know, it would be pretty hard.
It would be kind of snowbally.
High risk plays would be even more high risk because let's say like guys, I have a timing, I'm gonna sneak out, and then you die, and then they pick your smoke mollo, and then they like I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't.
That's my thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else have we got going on at the moment? What about the kill rewards of things like the CZ and the AWP? Do we still think they should only be $100?
I think the CZ definitely doesn't deserve to be $100 now. Like there is nothing.
24 bullets. That's all it has.
It's kind of. There's no point to it. It's not overpowered now. It's just like one of the guns. I even saw like EG using a bunch of the 5.7 on CT sides.
Yeah.
Worked out kind of well
really
in some situations. in some others, not so much, but it's kind of a weird weapon with a headshot, that like instant headshot kill. So I don't know.
I also like CZ is like this weapon where like when you want to run someone down, like for example, train lower, you play close and you hear them for utility, you just run in and kill one and you just die or something. But 5.7 should. I also like. I think only 10 is using CZ in our team. I think the rest is using Tech 957. Yeah, I think so.
I'm trying to think, are there any other weapons that aren't hugely viable?
P2K is not used that often, but
it's
just because of
some people.
Yeah,
do,
it's just
to be honest, like the P2000 isn't like, even if you look at the numbers, it's not
better.
It's better. Yeah, it's better. Maybe the recoil is kind of different, where the way it goes up and down between like when you shoot like 2-3 bullets, but it should be better because it has one more bullet. All of the other stuff is more or less the same compared to the USP. So that's why I don't see Valve changing it, because it's kind of the Krieg situation where on paper this gun is not inferior to the USP. So why would we buff it, right?
True.
That's just the silenced part that makes the difference, really.
Well, it's so much more crispy when you get a kill with that silenced USP. The head just explodes like a watermelon. It gives you a very nice feeling.
No. The other thing I didn't understand why they changed the Negev but not the M249. It's like, I don't know. It still costs like so much, but like no one would ever buy it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so glad. Like I like the way that Counter-Strike's gone. It's obviously a lot more versatile. It means that we can look into certain buys and preferences and talk about those things and the decisions on a micro level when you're going into those scenarios, depending on what you think you'll be fighting on the other side. I think that's also really cool, but I don't want to see like some dude with a fucking machine gun sitting top banana loading him into the wall.
Actually, I remember we tested as well with this bomb top on Vertigo that you can get stuck on the bridge when you drop down in this 1 pixel. If you do the same there and you jump on your teammate with the bomb on top of your head, oh fuck, now we'll fuck every FaZe lobby. Forget it. No. Forgot what I said, guys.
Oh dear. All right. Well, someone try that and do a video and let us know. See if you can make that magic happen.
That was actually not good.
It's all right. Maybe they'll fix it.
Well,
Maybe
let's put this in order. The what we have. Bomb drop mechanics, left click flash, no noise, Molotov consistency, HE fix, and a buff burst mode. That's what we have.
I think that the bomb drop one for me stands out because I can't understand why it does what it does, right? Like I can't think of a single, whereas the Molotov one, I could make an argument for it, right? I could make an argument as to why Molotovs and that kind of stuff aren't consistent. It's a bad argument, but it's like, it's an argument. Whereas the bomb one, I really am struggling to think why. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. It's the simplest.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Oh, we lost Striker. Fucking hell, everything's going off here.
At least I didn't get fully disconnected.
No, you just lagged. Striker just went all the way out. Well, that's all right. So okay.
That's a win. That's a win in my book.
So what do we put? All the flashes.
What I also should add is just I think everyone's using it anyway. The jump throw feature in the game. Just add it in the game. I mean.
Dude, I can't believe I had to argue with pros on Twitter about that back when I was playing, and then it came in anyway, and I was like, for fuck's sake. Like, I argued with like JW and Flusher and all those guys on Twitter back in the day, and they're like, oh, there's less skill. I'm like, dude, we can do much better executes. It makes everything cool. Like, it's not everything cool. What am I, 12? Yeah, it gives you actually more options.
Yeah.
So you think they should just have you just bind a key, jump throw?
Yeah. I mean, everyone is using it anyway. So why not just put it into the game? I mean,
that's actually smart.
I even have like a binding for double click release, so it goes always it's consistent. Mm-hmm. And some people even use W jump throw bindings. Like
yeah.
So
well, you're not meant to use the alias things, right? But I'm sure.
No, you can do it without alias.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a while since I've written a config, so I'm probably a bit behind on that one right there.
It took like half a year to convince my team to use my binding over their alias binding.
Jeez. Okay. Well, will everyone get kRYSTAL's config? Go and download it. I think that number 2 potentially could be the left click flash no noise. I think that right there is probably a big one from a tactical standpoint.
Yeah. I don't know how it will play out, but it was
I think it is a problem. Like now, the fact that you can't you have to be super careful about the way you approach situations. I think that there would add in a bit more depth strategically, potentially.
I would go both ways, T side and CT, because CTs can also do more plays with the.
That's true.
For me, it's just super
They wouldn't
weird.
hear it no.
How often people are just like, oh, flash is coming, turning away.
Yeah.
Like, how do you actually flash someone in the? I mean, okay, on my level, yes, but on the pro level, I feel like 90% of the flashes are like super easily dodged. So you have to do like 3 flash combinations to actually flash someone.
Yeah, or just one bad flash and then a good flash, or
that's so shit that you have to throw a bad flash.
Or nade the spot that you want to blind and you will not hear the pin.
True. Yeah, it's a bit more convoluted than I think it has to be, right? Like that's the way the game's gone, but it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. So what do we want as the third?
Burst mode. I think that would be fun.
It would make the for FAMAS and I think for the CTs they could definitely use a bit of a buff on the second round of the game. If the FAMAS had a burst fire viable, then you would actually be able to use it in long range positions like we used to. You'd be able to
that's 2A side to pit
exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it. That used to be awesome with
and
the
Source, it was good.
It was sick. So and you could play Archside Inferno with it as well. You go for burst instead of having to just jiggle the whole time. You wouldn't actually mind holding the line and ready to take a fight. You get that first burst off. You can dip back to library, do it again, give you a couple more options there. because I think like the HE one and the Molotov one, like they obviously have merit, like they definitely do, but I can, like we were talking about with Nade stuff, Striker, Prof, that it might be hard with the engine for them to actually fix those. Yeah, fuck it. Throw the burst one there. And then I guess we're done, aren't we? Striker's not coming back. His internet's probably just fucking died in Oh, Lucas is lagging as well. Everyone's fucked.
So he
All right.
He lost electricity. That's even worse.
Germany is at fault. Oh my.
Wow. Shit, the power's out. It's all over. All right, let's close it down because we've gone 20 minutes over here this evening. And we've just finished the list in case you are at home and you missed it. It's bomb drop mechanics number 1, left click flash no noise number 2, and buff burst mode as number 3. Now, I'm going to wind this one. Yeah.
Can we throw in like a question from the
viewers?
Of
course.
Because we have that, just to throw in one.
Yeah, go for it.
And it's a decent question. Quacky69 asks, what's yours and the team's expectations and ambitions for 2021? Any long-term goals?
We set our goal. Our first goal is definitely to make it to the major. We are currently rank 4, so we have a little buffer, but we still need to perform at the last RMR event. So that's one goal, and I think everyone's goal is to break into the top 10 next. That should be our next goal.
Okay, where are you guys at the moment with HLTV?
I think 17.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've obviously a bit of moving and shaking that's going to happen after this Cologne event. I think mouse spots are going to drop down a little bit. So, and also at the moment with it being region locked, it's quite difficult as well to really see whether the rankings are truly at. We're kind of living in a very, very weird time, aren't we? Oh dear. Okay. Do you have any other questions there, Prof?
There's another one good one from Yannick, so we can end with that. Says, what do you want to be remembered in the CS scene? Plans after you retire? Maybe don't want to throw you into retirement yet, but I feel like it's just generally a good question for people that are a bit more mature, that understand like the legacy aspect of everything that we're doing here.
I think people will appreciate more of who I was and what I contributed to CS when I'm not playing anymore, I guess. Yeah, apart from that, I don't really know what my legacy will be. Like, I know that people underestimate me anyway, so that's fine for me. After CSGO, I was thinking about I wanted to definitely stay in esports, but I really don't know what yet. Since I coached a big academy team, I had joy in this. I like to help others, which I think everyone who knows me can tell that. I just like to help others get better. So that would be one option.
Would you coach again? Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I have the knowledge. I'm pretty known in the scene. I think I can definitely make a lot of players and teams better, just with what I know or how I approach or my mindset or whatever. Yeah.
What about the type of work I do? Would you ever consider like going on a desk, either in English or in German or something? You obviously do a lot of talking in English at the moment, so.
Yeah, I actually talk more English than German most of the days. So I know my English is like, I sometimes miss the words, which I also do.
So do I, dude. I've been speaking it for 31 years.
Yeah, and you can hear my German accent, I think, pretty
Das ist kein
much.
Problem.
No one cares about that, honestly.
Kein Problem? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know if I can be a good caster, like screaming around. I would be more like an analyzing type caster, I guess.
I'm not a caster. I'm a poser. They just put me up there to occasionally, have the Australian accent. But the analyst stuff, right? Like, I think it's really
I like
cool.
this. Yeah. This is really cool.
Okay.
No, apart from that, I don't know. Someday find a woman to make kids with, I guess.
There we go.
Apart from that, maybe 2. I don't know. Get a cat, swimming pool.
Live the life.
Play Pokemon Go every day.
2 wives or 2 kids?
I
understood 2 wives. Maybe just me projecting.
Well, that's up to you now.
I don't think you can do that in Germany, Prof. I'm not sure about where you're from. Maybe it's legal over there.
Why would it be illegal? That doesn't make sense.
Well, look, I think you have to be like a Mormon or something. Or
people just want to put like barriers and definitions and boxes on everything. Just like let people live, love.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Apart from that, if I'm allowed, I would give a 5-second shout out to.
Of course, go for it.
Okay. Greetings to my mom. She asked me before because I told her, "Also, hallo Mutter, wie geht's?" Because she doesn't understand English, and I told her it will be in English, so I cannot. She probably is sitting up at her computer and like, what is he saying?
Okay.
So this
Bye,
is
Mo.
done, and yeah, greetings to Sassy MC, Frido, and Ivan. That's all from my
Wonderful.
part.
All right. Well, that's a
Yeah.
perfect way to wrap it up there. So first of all, thank you for joining us here this evening.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Always to hear from players and coaches and get their take on what's going on in the Counter-Strike scene. We have lost Striker, so he can't say goodbye. But Prof, we made it. You lagged a little bit. Normally it's me who's lagging, but we've made it through the evening. Lucas, you held us all together as per usual. And we will be back next Monday. It's going to be at a much different time, guys, going forward. We've had some scheduling issues, so we will be doing it at 3 p.m. That's 1500 CEST. I think we're still in summertime at the moment. For all the Mondays going forward, it'll be at 3 p.m. We have a guest locked in for next Monday as well. You can find all the goodies at anchor.fm/HLTV, as well as HLTV Confirmed on Twitter. And let me just check what this says. Oh, we will be doing a restream of it at 8 o'clock, right? At 2000. What am I saying here? At 8 p.m. at night. 2000, right? You'll be able to check it out. We'll do a rebroadcast of it there, so it'll be at the regular time, but we will be doing it live at 1500. And yeah, that's basically it. And for Crystal's mum, schönen Abend noch.
Schönen
And
Abend noch,
yeah, tschüss.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
or-
everybody.
yeah, as we say in Germany, hau rein.
I don't know what that means. It sounds good.
Hau rein, du Schwein. You can say that.
That's something to do with the pig.
Yeah, but it's like dude, so
Okay.
see ya, dude. Basically.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But in a more like chill way, like yeah, whatever.
Like when I say Junge.
Junge, yeah, hau rein, Junge. Yeah.
All
You can
right.
say that as well. Yeah.
Well, on that note, everybody, good night, and we'll see you in the next
Yep.
episode of HLTV Confirmed. Goodbye.